Hey guys! Welcome back to another Power Trip Gaming Powercast!
Now you're listening with Power.
Ooh, yeah! Fucking power!
I feel like I need one of those keyboards that has various sound effects.
Honestly, it's like, yeah. It's like, today, Saturday.
One of those.
Come listen to the Power Trip Gaming Powercast, where you're listening with Power.
It's a fucking terrible radio show opening.
Yeah, it is.
How you need like a toilet flushing sound.
Oh.
So what's going on with you guys?
We'll call it the daily flush.
Disgusting. Believe me, that's...
It's
What's going on with you guys? I got no rebuttal for this. Anything new with you guys? I got nothing, personally.
Just playing games.
Playing games. Paul, we already know you're not.
Yeah.
What are games?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what these video games are that you speak of.
We can tell you don't play games.
Yeah, and so I just started playing Ghost Recon Breakpoint, so...
Ghost Recon? People still play that?
Yeah.
Ghost Recons are still making money?
Fuck yeah.
Oh my god.
Wildlands was amazing.
Who makes those games?
Ubisoft.
Booby stuff.
Oh, booby stuff.
Yay.
Yeah. How to say...
I like oobies.
Oh god.
Paul is an idiot.
He's pretty cool. I don't think I've ever actually played a Ghost Recon game, now that I think about it.
They go all the way back to, like, PS2.
I'm sure they do.
Because there was, like, Island Thunder, and... There's a bunch of them.
The Ghost Recons, yes, I believe it started on the PS2 era. Yeah,
wow.
For sure. And they've been going strong for 3 generations. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, how is it?
I am enjoying it. Fuck you, Paul. I can't look at this guy right now.
How is it?
Oh, good for you!
How was it? Sorry.
That's funny.
That was totally him who said that.
Well, now it's ruined!
That's funny.
That's fucking ruined!
Nah. You and me were done professionally.
Me and you, we're done professionally.
That's so ridiculous. That's such a classic. Anyway, yeah, how is it? What does it play like? The Division, kind of? Is it more of just kind of like the old, like, Splinter Cells?
It's an open world cross between third-person and first-person shooter. Because you can either have it set up to where when you're aiming down sights, it's over your shoulder, like most third-person.
RE4, kind of?
Or you can have it set up so when you're aiming, you're actually looking down the scope of the weapon and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool.
So I tend to play it when exploring, I'm in third, but in combat, most often, I'm in first person, so...
Oh, that's kind of neat.
But yeah, it's open world, you're just kind of... The story drops you in on this island due to circumstances, and you basically have to piece stuff together, get stuff. You start with no gear in the game.
Oh, cool.
Which was kind of interesting, so you have to scavenge as you go.
Yeah.
I would say, so far, I think my biggest complaint is they have, like, a gear score system, kind of, like Destiny and stuff. And, like, there are areas that they recommend being certain levels or higher when you're going into them, but I found that even, like, level 1 gear versus, like, level 300 gear, there is no damage increase between the two of them. All weapons of the same type have the same, like, base damage.
What?
And yeah, and that's my biggest complaint is like,
that's really strange.
I have a level 1 pistol and then like a level like 100 and something legendary version. They have they're the exact same gun, so all their stats are exactly the same. It makes no fucking sense.
Then what's the point of the weapons? Like, what's the point of picking up various different items?
That's my only thing is I don't really see why they added it. There should have been some sort of scaling damage with it,
right?
Unless if it's a way of kind of like gating off so enemies above a certain level do X amount more to you and take X amount less.
So it like scales based on...
Yeah.
If you just go in with low level shit, wouldn't you just be able to make it easier?
No, because they're set at certain levels.
Oh, okay.
So, like, if there is an area where, like, the mission is, like, it requires gear score of, like, 150 or something in the area, and I tried going in there with, like, lower level gear, and, yeah, they just kind of tore me apart, but, I don't know.
So I guess that reiterates my earlier question is,
What's the point?
Why do people still play these games?
Because the games are fun. Like gameplay.
Sure, they sound like a joyous time. They sound like a wonderful time.
How would you know? You haven't played a game in the last 30 years.
Ain't that the truth?
I think it has been 30 years.
Look, a jackass has a Switch. Guess where it's still sitting? In the dock doing nothing.
It's charging.
For fucking 5 weeks.
It needed to charge. It's been charging for 2 weeks. Okay?
Oh,
2.
So for the other 3, it's been sitting in the box.
Oh my god. Yeah, I was to say, how long was it before you actually opened it? Before you broke the tape seal on it?
There is no tape seal on it.
Whatever. How long till you opened it?
It was 2 weeks ago, and I got it on the 22nd, so about 3 weeks.
Wow. What a guy.
Oh. That would have been the moment I got it. It would have been opened. It would have been plugged in.
Oh fuck yeah! The very first day
system updates.
I played my frickin' Switch. Are you kidding?
I don't know how this guy does it.
I don't know either.
I just busy.
He buys games for room decorations, apparently.
Do.
I mean, I can't say shit. I still have games in the shrink wrap from the PS3 era. I still think I haven't opened El Shaddai.
The only...
Or one of the Batman games, I think, too.
Probably.
I think the oldest game that I have still shrink-wrapped is from 2006. Oh, yeah, well, yeah, the Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but... no, I mean one that I bought new that I never opened was actually Silent Hill Shattered Memories for the PS2. Because I ended up picking it up for the Wii.
Yeah.
And so I ended up liking it a hell of a lot more on the Wii.
I can see that.
I thought it was an innovative game. I like the fact that you use the Wiimote as like the flashlight.
Oh yeah.
That one, the other Wii game was better for that.
Fragile.
Yeah.
I liked Fragile a lot.
I don't think I have Fragile.
Probably not.
Is that a survival horror?
Yes.
Sure is. It's more of an anime style though, but
Oh.
it's a lot of fun. There was a lot of good Wii games. The Wii is such an underappreciated system.
Wii is not underappreciated.
Yes, it is.
I think the Wii U is underappreciated.
No. The Wii, it sold good on hardware, and then, like, the included sports bundle, software-wise,
games,
it was
yeah.
a joke.
Oh, that's
There are
true.
so many like RPGs and stuff that got passed up on the Wii, which was unfortunate. That's why I'm really glad, like, even with the Wii and the Wii U, like, they're starting to bring some of those titles to the Switch, like Tokyo Mirage.
Yeah.
The cross between Fire Emblem and Persona. It was a fantastic game, but nobody bought it because I mean, nobody did. You know, Arc Rise Fantasia was super good. Granted, the voice acting was on par with like Bait and Katos.
Hey, I enjoyed the voice acting.
Oh, it was so terrible,
Yeah,
but it was one of those things like it made it endearing.
I really want that one to come to Switch.
Oh hell yeah!
Because I still I never finished it. I got to a certain point in the story when the party splits and there's the two of you racing.
Yeah.
And that's as far as I got.
Arc Rise was so good.
Well, that's the thing too, is that I think Nintendo knew, even with like what they've been doing on like Wii U games that have been relaunched on the Switches, they knew that the Wii U sold like crap.
Yeah, it was dismal.
But it had great games for it, and so they're like, you know what? These games did not sell what they should have sold, but it's probably because it was not the best system that we released them on. So they released them again on the Switch, where then they kind of had the second life where everybody's talking about them, everybody's getting them now, and so they knew that they had good games. It was the hardware, but the Wii was kind of the opposite, where they had the hardware was the good part, and then the games were kind of like the forgettable part.
Well, I mean, you had Last Story, Pandora's Tower. Hell, I mean, Xenoblade Chronicles is coming out on the Switch, the definitive edition or whatever. I mean, I would love it if they would do Chronicles X, which was, you know, I think that was Wii U, or was that Wii?
I think that was Wii U.
It might have been. But that one was fantastic, too. I loved it.
I never finished that one either.
No, but, I mean, it's one of those things where it's a shame that so many games are getting tossed to the wayside because of...
I wonder when they are going to release on the Switch Ju-On, The Grudge.
Yeah, I'm sure that's on the forefront of everybody's mind.
Probably. I'm pretty sure that's got to be... They're gonna announce when that's gonna come to the Switch.
The old haunted house simulator.
I'm pretty sure that one will get ported to the Switch just as soon as like Sneaking gets ported to the Xbox One.
Sneaking.
The Burger King game.
Oh my god, the Burger King game. That was so funny. Those games.
But anyway, speaking of Wii U, I love the tablet. That's the one reason I loved the Wii U, was the fact that you could actually take it off of the television and play a lot of the games on the tablet itself.
Yeah.
I thought it was such a cool idea for a dual screen thing.
You didn't need the TV on in order to play this.
Although they missed a large opportunity with not porting certain DS games to it.
Well, that was the thing, is there was supposed to be a DS player for it, and they never released it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think they scrapped the idea, and honestly, that probably would have saved the system, in my opinion. There were so many top-notch DS games, but I suppose at the same time, it kind of would be burdensome, because...
Certain DS games, yeah, but other ones, no. When the bottom screen's only inventory management, it would be doable.
Yeah, but I mean, there's so many, like Contact was straight up handheld, or it was straight up touchscreen.
No.
It'd be kind of stupid to be playing it on your tablet, and then you have this big TV on the top with your inventory. It'd be kind of ridiculous, but
I'd do it.
I would too, to be honest. But that was one thing. But it's kind of, I just love the idea of it. You know, the fact that you could take it off of the television, which is why I love the Switch. You know, it's that idea of it, and it's like the ability to go from console to handheld is incredible. You know, I mean.
Well, that's why I still think that Satoru Iwata, who was the president at the time, like, he got it right on so many different levels with that system, because he knew that the future of gaming was in just mobile gaming.
Yeah, portability.
People were playing games on the go because it's more of like a hustle and bustle society.
That's actually more true with like the Japanese and then like the Chinese market.
Yeah, we're
not as much the American and European markets.
We're definitely becoming a more sedentary people.
Yeah, but I still know a lot of people where it's like they take their Switches on like planes and stuff. They're constantly traveling back and forth, but they'll always have their Switch with them because they can play it while they're like waiting at the airport.
Oh yeah, I have guys that bring them to work. They play them during lunch breaks.
Yeah, there you go. So it's like you have the console that can be played at home when you want to be. What was that word that you used?
Sedentary.
Sedentary. Stop. Don't you do that. Don't you do that.
Stop. Higher, Paul. No.
Sedentary. But you can also take it on the go with you. You remove it from its cradle and you start playing it on the go. Like, I mean, it's literally the best of both worlds.
It is. Which brings us to our topic of the day, everybody.
Why is Paul such an idiot?
Well, that's a topic every day, and it's an ongoing topic that we'll never resolve. Handheld gaming. What were your guys' first experiences playing anything anything handheld? Obviously, most people relate to the Game Boy.
Okay, see, for me, I think we're talking, I go back, because I'm old, like, non-electronic handhelds were my first, like, handheld gaming experience.
Yeah.
But if we're talking, like, handheld gaming experience, I remember, prior to getting, like, the Game Boy and stuff, it was those X-Men and, like, Spider-Man LCD games where, like, it was just the set screen and your character would just move up and down or left and right and do things.
Yeah, what were was it Tiger Electronics?
I think so.
LCD games?
Oh, yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I had the X-Men one where you were Wolverine and you like to go up and down dodging the steel beams and then stab at people.
Yep. That was, I actually have
Do you
that
still
same
have
one.
that?
I do. So you fight Sentinels along the way, and then Apocalypse is the boss at the end of the level.
I was never able to beat the game.
No, I did. I had that one, and I had Street Fighter 2.
Yep.
Where you could actually do, like, the hurricane kick and stuff, the fireballs.
The Hadouken looked funny.
Yeah, it did.
And I believe you could pick between three different characters. There was
Blanca, Ken...
Blanca, Ryu, and Guile.
I thought there was one more.
No, it was just
sworn there was 4.
It was a 3. And you fought against Zangief...
That's right, because there were more than one.
Zangief M. Bison, and I believe Sagat.
Probably Sagat, I would imagine.
Maybe?
Or was it Vega?
No, I don't think it was Vega.
I remember that was one of the ones we had, Street Fighter 2. I mean, a lot of people did.
I still have it.
We had Street Fighter 2, we had Sonic 2.
Oh, that's the Sonic
right.
one.
There was a Sonic 3, actually, as well. I don't think we had 3, but I know a neighbor did. And Batman Returns, I want to say. Batman something. It was Batman something.
Well, we had Batman Forever.
It was a blue one. It was a blue handheld.
Oh, you had the animated series one.
Maybe that was it. Because you
had the
shot
animated series. We had that one too.
Yeah, but it was, those things were So cool.
Except for the sound on them was awful.
Well, of course.
Bleep, bleep, bleep.
But I mean, I remember having that just stowed away in my bed, and I would just play it as I'm getting ready to go to sleep or something, and a little flashlight. You always do that move. Lights out, and a little flashlight kicks on. You're sitting there playing a game.
Well, that's because they weren't backlit, so I mean,
right.
You needed to have that flashlight, and you had to hold that flashlight at the right angle. Otherwise,
you flooded your screen.
Yeah, you flooded your screen, and it would completely obscure what you were looking at.
Kids today don't understand the struggles of no backlit screens.
Oh my God, everything is backlit these days.
Everything.
That's right.
Backlighting for handheld gaming started with the
I remember,
SP.
yeah,
the Game Boy Advance SP.
I remember when it jumped from the regular Advance to the, and then it had the small SP had the backlight, and it was like being able to turn it on and off when needed, and like it was such a difference between playing on the two.
Yeah, the widescreen Game Boy Advance that first came out, the first generation one, was not backlit. A lot of people don't remember that or realize that, but the original Game Boy Advance that came out was not backlit. It wasn't until the SP where it had the double, like the open...
Yeah, it was like a clamshell.
The clamshell where you could open it up, that was backlit. And I think it even, in order to save battery life too,
it had a sleep mode.
It had a sleep mode where you could, you could dim the screen where it just
you could shut the light. No, you had the light on off. It was either on or off. There was no dimmer.
Oh well, but it's like you turned off like the backlighting basically.
Yeah.
So that would help to save the battery, but
I know there were certain games that had a sleep mode where you could put it to sleep and then you would close the clamshell. And it would essentially sleep.
I don't think I've ever played one like that where it's like,
Castlevania's did. Some of the Castlevania Advance games did.
I don't think I ever put it into sleep mode.
No, I think I did mostly when I was at school.
Because I would play it during study. Because I know that the DS would do that, where it's like if you closed it, it would actually like pause the game and stuff. It was like an auto suspend it. Yeah.
Or some games actually took advantage of that, like in Phantom Hourglass, where you had to close it and then reopen it, and it transferred the stamp from screen to screen.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yep,
that was super cool.
Yeah, that was really cool.
We are jumping a little bit ahead.
Yes, we are. But so when I grew up, it was funny because I think my older brother had a Game Boy like pretty early on that he had gotten from a friend of his. But
probably the gray brick.
Oh yeah, absolutely the gray brick. But we didn't have many games for it. But I think because of how cheap they were and how versatile the Tiger Electronic games were for like birthdays and Christmas. Yeah. Tiger Electronics, man, they knew who their market was.
They also had the license for like everything.
Everything.
If it could be turned into a game, they're like, we're turning it into a game.
They even had Full House, for God's sakes. The Little Mermaid. I had a 101 Dalmatians from the 101 Dalmatians animated movie.
I think we had a Little Mermaid one as well.
And my sister had Little Mermaid.
That's because you guys were supposed to be girls.
All three of us.
I was gonna say that's weird because it was three boys. At least I had a girl in my family. That's why Little Mermaid's there.
My little sister had it. So.
And she also had Beauty and the Beast.
Yep, I remember the Beauty and the Beast one actually.
But yeah, because we would get those things for like gifts for like I remember
stocking stuff.
Yeah, I remember getting one for like a birthday, but generally it was like the stocking stuffer. Is that I remember getting those as like a stocking stuffer. It was in the stocking, and it's amazing because I think when I first was playing those things, I was just like, I can't, like, this is amazing. This is so wonderful. It doesn't get better than this. I can't put it down. And like 3 years or 4 years later, I remember thinking to myself, but not letting myself like get like overwhelmed by it, is that I'm like, this is really like, is this game actually boring? Is this not good? And I'm like, no, because you could take this thing literally anywhere. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
You can play it at Grandpa's house.
It's great. No, it's good. And now I finally, like 10, 15, 20 years later, I can finally admit to myself, those games were shit. They were not good.
Well, for the era, yeah, they weren't bad.
But for the era, they brought so much fun and so much joy to everybody.
I mean, or then there's the weird two ones that came out even like afterwards, be like the Tamagotchi style ones.
See, that was a big fucking craze. Tamagotchis, Digimon,
because those Digifighters,
Nano Fighters.
Yes, those were Tiger Electronics.
What was the one where you could scan the barcode to get to different creatures too?
That one I don't know.
I don't know which one that was. But I remember having a
I had Digimon, I had Tamagotchi, I had the Nano Fighter. Where you link them together and they fight.
Yeah,
I had
so cool.
I had a WWF one where it's like you, and I believe it was WWF at the time too.
Oh yeah, it was WWF.
I had it was Kane. And so you could actually like train your fighter and stuff like that to like try to be strong and stuff. You'd have to feed him so that he gets his strength back, and after he fights, like you'd have to feed him again.
Did you have to clean his poop?
There we go.
I did not have to clean his poop. No.
Digimon was the worst thing when you wake up and there's just shit all over the screen. You're like, oh my god!
You guys never saw any of these? Like
What
so.
was it? Let me see.
It's called scanners.
God no! I
And
would have
then there were-
lost my shit head.
And then there were ones like these.
Oh my god!
So like, you scan barcodes.
Oh my god! I don't even remember seeing
You
those.
scan barcodes, and you got like different creatures to fight and stuff like that.
Oh, it was like Monster Rancher.
Yeah.
where you could
They
pop
were-
in. You could pop in a music CD,
That's
and it
right.
would.
Monster Rancher was a
Monster
thing.
Rancher was for PS1, and
Yeah,
that one
yeah.
you could pop in a music CD, and it would generate some random based on the series of zeros and ones of the
Yeah,
coding
yeah.
and stuff. It would generate some random monster that you would then be able to raise. It was almost like a precursor to Pokemon at the time, or it was like right on the cusp of the Pokemon generation. So it maybe
I
tried
think so.
to capitalize.
Because wasn't Jade Cocoon kind of like Pokemon as well, where you caught different?
But it was
shit?
more of way more of an RPG.
Yeah. We kind of glossed over the whole Game & Watch thing.
Well, yeah.
So see, Game & Watch, I was a little bit too young for that because Game & Watch was generally
I was too.
those came out in like 82 through 84, 85. And I think one of the latest ones was like 86 or possibly even 87, but Legend of Zelda.
Yeah,
They actually
I
made a
remember that
Game &
one.
Watch of Legend of Zelda. And I know that was like a late release and possibly one of the last ones that was ever made.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was way too young for those.
Yeah, we were around the Tiger Electronics era of those.
One thing I do remember though, and it was funny because I remember the display at Sears in Kenosha. And so my mom wouldn't understand that, like, I would always want to go to Sears with her, like, if she was shopping. And she just never understood why, like, why does he want to go to Sears? It's a boring store. They had a display in the jewelry area where there was a watch that was like a Tetris watch.
Yes!
You could actually play the game on the
God,
watch.
yes!
And so I would go with her so that I could go to the jewelry section and play that watch.
That's so funny. You're
So
such
there
a
was
nerd.
aren't I?
Oh my
But there was
God.
so there was like even it took, and I don't know if those were Tiger Electronics as well too, but it's like it even took like LCDs to like a whole different, at least with the Tiger Electronics ones, you had like your character looked like it was moving, it looked
But it
like
was
it
the set
could battle,
background, yeah.
and it was a set background. This was literally just like 3 or 4 different lines, and it's like
Well, I didn't realize. No, I'm sorry. You finish your.
oh no, I'm not. That's pretty much it. There's really not much to it. So
Tiger Electronics was it was a thing of Hasbro. That was their
Oh, was
parent
it really?
company. Yeah.
Well, that
wait,
makes
it was their
sense.
parent company?
Yeah.
Oh, Hasbro was their parent company.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
makes
okay.
sense. Hasbro
Yeah.
has the license for everything.
I just,
Wow.
well, I mean, you really think about it. It's like every video game that had ever come out, almost, like a mainstream popular game, Tiger Electronics had a license to do it on their LCD
Oh yeah.
screens.
That was
Like,
the big thing. Was the LCD back then?
It was, because that was.
Oh my God! They made a Sonic 3D Blast. Tiger Electronics.
Oh, did they really?
They did. I didn't know there was I wanted a Castlevania 2.
Oh, of course they did. Yeah, that was an
Holy
early. Yeah,
shit.
that was an early one too. Yeah. Uh huh.
Wow.
Oh, now he's lost. And
He's down the rabbit hole.
They
Yep.
made Furbies
When
when they
did?
merged with Hasbro. When
Tiger Electronics did Furby,
Yeah.
like the original Furby.
Mm-hmm.
Makes
Oh,
sense.
wow.
With Hasbro's support, Tiger was able to rush through their development process and get the Furby on shelves for the 1998 holiday season.
Oh my God,
which was
that
a runaway hit.
It totally was.
It really was.
It really was. I remember
Yeah,
seeing
they were
things
a
on
hit
the news.
until people learned they summoned the devil, and then they didn't want
Oh
it.
yeah, and then oh God, I completely forgot about that aspect of them.
Put them
Yeah.
in. They
Is that
chat
people-
to each other.
Yeah.
And then people are like,
And then
"They're
people
doing
thought
some
that they were
dark
like-
ritual. They're talking to the devil, and
It sure felt like it.
It's like like, first off, they thought that, like, they were talking to one another, so it's like they thought it was the government trying to spy on them to get information from them. And then they were like, well, this one is just talking, like, on its own. Like, it's talking to some ghostly entity, and then it just completely ran away. It's like, nope, they're like it was almost no different from a Ouija board to have a Furby.
They were creepy.
But I remember seeing
awesome. I just skinned them.
I remember seeing on the news, like they would do newscasts about how Furbies were just flying off the shelves, and people were spending like $300-400 on a Furby.
That was the it
in
toy.
'98. Like, holy shit!
It's amazing. I remember very distinctly. I spent a night at a friend's house. He had a Furby in his closet. It was the middle of the night. Granted, we were 12 maybe.
Yeah.
Start talking in the closet, you know. So it's already scary enough that there's nothing going on in the room and it just starts talking. So it freaked us out. We took the batteries out and went back to bed. To this day, I shit you not, 10 minutes later, that fucker still said stuff. No batteries in it. Still talk.
So
it went right out the window into the fucking neighbor's driveway.
So I'm gonna actually put I'm going to try to explain what ended up happening, because the same thing actually ended up happening with a
capacitors magic.
No, with a doll that my sister had, where it was talking and talking, and we pulled the batteries out, and that son of a bitch was still talking, and we were like, "What the hell is going on?" So in some of those things, and probably with the Furbies as well too, is that after you remove the batteries, there was also like an additional, like almost like a backup battery.
They're called capacitors. They charge and they hold the charge for a certain amount of time.
Exactly.
But when I was 12, I didn't understand.
No,
that.
exactly.
So it scared us the fuck out, because it was just a gibberish. It started talking the gibberish.
Oh, jeez,
and it was just
other language.
Oh my god, it was the freakiest thing in the world.
It's so funny because and we're digressing again, but they still make Furbies. In fact,
the new ones have like digital eyes.
2008, they relaunched.
In fact, it's like I saw a Star Wars one that was Furbaka.
Needless to say, not quite the hit it was in 1998.
God no, it's you can't capture lightning in a bottle twice.
Well, because to be honest, and I've noticed this is a trend now in this current day and age with toys, you don't do anything with it. You sit there and it entertains you, and that's it. Like, you don't actually do anything with it. It just sits there.
So here's a funny thing that I didn't realize this until it was actually said to me out loud, and then I'm like, duh, it makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, and now we're digressing, but
it doesn't matter.
I'll explain this one. Is that we were the greatest age of toys.
We truly were.
We truly were. You had things like Masters of the Universe in 1982-83. What?
Nothing.
I was a Thundercats guy myself.
It doesn't matter. But Masters of the Universe it literally generated billions of dollars in revenue. You had Transformers. Mm-hmm. You had G.I. Joe. You had Teenage... I was going to say TMNT, and then it's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which was just a runaway juggernaut. What? Oh, funny. You had Thundercats. Yeah. I mean, you had everything.
Power Rangers.
And Power Rangers, and it just sold like gangbusters. Like
X-Men.
And the Toy Biz X-Men.
You're forgetting the best one. All the superhero figures.
The Toy Biz X-Men.
All the Marvel ones. All the Marvel DC ones. I had like everything.
Kenner,
for those.
all of that stuff. They made toys for everything, and we bought all of that stuff regardless of if we were into it or not. Our parents bought it for us, and we had an absolute blast with it. Fast forward to this day and age, if you go to a toy store, well, actually there's really no dedicated toy stores anymore, but if you go to the toy aisle of any store, what does it look like compared to what you remember as a kid?
It's a lot of... Well, I don't know. I haven't really gone down.
They're smaller. It used to be for the boys. There used to be like 3 aisles for the boys, 3 aisles for the girls, and then there'd be like one in between them that was kind of a mix of the two. That was.
And for the boys now, it's usually a lot of like G.I. Joe kind of shit.
Well, it's still
or not G.I. Joe specifically, but I'm saying it's like that kind of stuff.
It's a lot of
Star Wars.
Well, it's a lot of Star Wars. It is a lot of Ninja Turtles still.
Yeah, because it kind of had a resurgence.
Then there's like the superhero figures.
Marvel Legends, yeah.
Well, and DC has
and
them.
DC
And then
has
wrestling figures.
Yes, and
that's
wrestling
about
figures.
it. Well,
But-
and then the Nerf guns and stuff like that.
But literally, I remember as a kid walking down a toy aisle of like action figures, and they just had peg after peg after peg.
Well,
of
and
It was literally a whole aisle.
a whole aisle of just action figures.
Yeah.
Then you had a whole aisle of board games, and then you had a whole aisle of Lego and
Racing.
building stuff,
Legos.
racing stuff.
Hot Wheels.
Nowadays,
back then, too.
everything is literally condensed into one aisle, and it almost has everything in that one aisle.
Yeah.
So it's only a fraction of what it used to be. And now when you go to like like Target or Walmart, and you see these high-end collectibles of like these highly are you familiar with the NECA like action figures and NECA
Not at all.
toys and stuff?
Yeah.
Well, they're highly detailed, really don't have a lot of posability, or they're really not for playing anyways. They're more for displaying. But these toys are like $20-$30 a piece.
Jesus.
And you're like, what kid's actually going to be buying a toy for $20? Like Marvel Legends figures, which would be like what you would think is a toy for a kid, they're $19.99. What kid, when you were a kid, were you buying a toy that was $19.99 or even a $9.99 figure?
Are you kidding? My parents, like, we would have to beg our parents to get like a new set of Legos, and I remember
It was
those
like
sets of Legos were
$5.
anywhere between $3 to like $10.
Yeah.
If my parents let us get a $10 one, we felt like kings.
Oh, yeah.
Because it came with so much.
That's what NECA figures look like now.
God damn.
And so...
Like they're super. Well,
If
some,
I was a
like-
kid, I'd be afraid to play with it.
yeah.
Although I bet you most kids don't play with it anymore.
Well,
because
and then
Bingo.
here's the big thing. Like, look at these are a lot of the popular ones. It's Pennywise from It.
Yeah.
It's like all the horror icons.
So
and stuff
bingo,
like that.
and most of those figures $24.99 to $30. Like what kid is going to be paying that much for an action figure?
yeah.
They're not.
$40.
They do not market toys or action figures. They don't market them to kids anymore.
No,
Do you
that's
know
what they
who
don't.
they market them to?
Our generation.
Us.
Our generation.
Yeah,
because we were the greatest generation who played with that stuff, and we're the generation who has the sentimentality to it, who
Yeah.
will then grow up and it's like, oh my god, you're getting that wave of nostalgia. I'm going to go out and buy that Pennywise figure, or I'm going to go out and buy that X-Men figure because I remember that when I was a kid.
I mean, to be honest, when was the last time you saw a toy commercial?
you don't see
We saw toy commercials nonstop
Oh my
on
God.
Nickelodeon growing up.
But also back then, toys were cartoons that we watched were actually created to sell the toys.
to sell the toys.
They were a marketing arm of the
He-Man,
Hasbro.
Look at
and
Bucky
stuff.
O'Hare.
Yeah.
Masters of the Universe was the first one to do it. They literally, their toy line was developed before the cartoon came out, and the cartoon was only an afterthought to try to sell the toys,
They were just
basically.
they were half-hour commercials.
That's literally all it was. And TMNT, again, I think they started... They did the first season of the show, which was about 6 episodes long. It was like their pilot season in 87.
Yeah.
And in 88 is when the toys started coming out, and then the cartoon was nothing more than a vessel to try to sell the toys.
Yeah.
And fortunately enough, everybody loved the cartoon. The toys just kind of went off into its juggernaut and what it was. And so the rest is history. But yeah, nowadays, I mean, toys are not even... Action figures are not marketed to kids anymore. They don't have any kind of special affinity or any kind of special remembrance or fondness for the action figures. It's the adults. It's the people our age that they're still selling them to.
Yeah, that's
Why action figures are so expensive, is because we are the ones who now have the real jobs where we can spend disposable income or $20 or $30 on an action figure, when a kid would have to literally work for 2, 3, 4 weeks to save up all of his allowance to buy one action
if
figure.
they got allowance at all. Because I'm
If-
growing up,
I didn't get allowance either.
All my toys were from birthdays, Christmas. Occasionally, like Easter, I might get 1 or 2.
Yeah, I remember one Easter, my parents forewent all candy and bought us a basket full of Magic cards.
Oh,
We got
wow.
like 3 or 4 like pre-constructed decks and like 5 booster packs apiece.
Oh wow.
It was a pretty good Easter.
that's-
Needless
yeah.
to say, I was pretty horny that fucking Easter.
Oh,
It
God.
was fucking. Actually,
Oh god.
do you remember those Magic kits? I can't remember the name of the brand. It was like
Like
5 or 6 different magic tricks.
Oh,
that
yeah,
you
yeah,
could
yeah.
buy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
There was one.
Yeah.
It was one of the extremely few birthday parties I ever had. That was all I got. Were those fucking little packs of magic tricks. It was so funny because I loved them for some reason. I look at them now, I'm like, these are stupid. But it was so cool. God, I wish I could remember the name of that. Fuck those things.
I do. I remember one Easter, and actually that one stands out because
It was like a purple-black box, and
there was one Easter in my Easter basket along with all the candy and stuff that was in there. There was a Lego set that was in there. It was the only time that there was actually like a toy or like something fun to play with in there other than just like candy.
Yeah.
And that one that Easter sticks out in my mind like a frickin' flag. I remember that.
So the ones like these, the kids' labs.
No, it wasn't those. Damn it.
These are the newer ones, but
No, it was. This had to be back in what, the 90s. It was. I remember seeing the commercials on TV for them, but I just, for the life of me, cannot remember the name of the brand.
But yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we had the best toys of our generation. To which we'll never see anything like that ever again.
No.
It just you won't see that.
Well, we grew up in the. Nope, wasn't those.
We grew up in the sweet spot.
It was the advent of like everything.
It really
was. We
was.
were straight up on the on. We were on the what's the word?
The cusp.
The precipice.
Precipice.
We were on the cusp of technology. We were on the cusp of video games, of movies. I mean, we literally were the best generation.
We really
it
were.
sounds arrogant to say out loud.
No,
but
it's
to be
not.
honest,
We were.
We really are.
We were.
why didn't I ever get this one?
And I swear to God, that it's like our generation. What is
CSI.
Oh, for God's sake!
But I mean,
And I think our generation, like it was the last true generation that was like really carefree.
yeah.
Is because nowadays, even in just general society, like there's so many things to be worried about. But it's like,
I'll let you know right now, that's actually a perception thing, and it's bullshit.
oh, is it?
Society is actually technically safer now than it has ever been.
Oh,
The only difference is we have a 24-hour news cycle now.
oh,
Back in our day,
We
news
didn't.
happened twice a day.
That's right.
6 a.m., 10 p.m.
that's true.
We didn't have the internet to spread shit. So the world was actually, like, not to mention, we were tail end of basically the communist scare type shit.
Yeah, we were right after all that.
So, like, we actually, it's because how fast communications is now that people think the world is actually more dangerous, but it's not.
Oh,
I kind of feel like it is, though, because everybody knows exactly where everyone else is.
No, but
There was no way to track people back then. You know what I mean?
There
like
was, but not
Facebook.
legally.
well, but
You know-
technically, then I mean.
That's
Then a bigger thing back then would have been like kidnapping. Would have been like nobody would have ever found you.
No. But I can see where you're saying it, but I feel
statistically
like,
speaking, we are safer.
Maybe it is a perception thing. But I just remember as a kid, like I mean, and maybe
But
it is.
also,
a
you
thing.
were a kid.
You were a
didn't
kid. You
pay
didn't
attention
have
to shit like
you didn't
that.
have the responsibilities that you do now as an adult, and so everything just seems so carefree. But I guess you just had so much to distract yourself.
There's that,
You
too.
had so
You weren't
many
jaded.
great. Yeah, like.
I feel like we were the last generation of relative innocence.
Yeah, then that
Yeah,
could be it.
that-
Look
that's-
how fast kids are forced to grow up nowadays, just
Oh,
based
yeah.
on media, on television, and I hate to say this, video games,
Oh, yeah.
on pretty much the overstimulation of information coming into their brains compared to ours.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like we were the last ones to truly have like an innocent childhood.
a slow
Yes.
ascension into adulthood instead of just being thrust into it.
I mean,
Yeah.
these alone. Could you imagine having a fucking smartphone as a 6-year-old in the 80s?
Having a computer basically in your pocket.
There's more technology in this than there was to send people to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
That I remember seeing that phrase somewhere, and it blew my mind a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's after all this. I'll actually, when we finish recording this, I'll show you a video from one of my favorite YouTube channels called Smarter Every Day.
Mm-hmm.
They show the computer and like the that was used on those early rockets where they hand stitched the RAM together.
It's
Oh
insane.
my god.
Like they got
Wow.
ones and zeros by running like putting these beads and spots on wires.
Oh my god, wow.
Insane.
That
So,
is
like, yeah,
insane.
when you think about it, they literally handcrafted everything. Now, it's all produced in a machine that they never could have thought of doing.
Oh God, no.
Well, no, and one of the things that just blows my mind is that as
Size.
no, not well, yeah, but is that even just like with cell phones and stuff like that? I didn't have a cell phone until I was in college.
Yeah, I didn't get one until I was 19 or 20.
Like my first one was like a track phone after I had graduated.
A Nokiatracfone.
Yes,
That's exactly
Nokiatracfone,
right.
and it had Snake on it.
had
I loved Snake.
I had one of those, the cheap Cricket ones. And the only
Yeah.
reason I originally got a phone was because my parents had moved and no one could ever get a hold of me or find me.
Yeah.
So they were just like, we're giving you a cheap-ass phone, so if we need to get a hold of you, if something happens, we can get a hold of you.
Hope you have enough minutes on that thing.
Well, and that's, yeah. I never used it, so...
And he had that cricket phone until he got this fucking Galaxy,
That's
whatever.
not
the
true.
fuck.
Do you know what's funny too back then? And people
Yeah.
can laugh
The
about
Nokia
this.
was indestructible, though.
People can laugh about this now, like, wow, that's such a ripoff. So with the Nokiatracfone, they sold like the time
Right, the
cards and
prepaid
stuff.
minutes.
The
My
prepaid
parents,
minutes,
I think, still have prepaid phones.
60 minutes for $30. And you would get a bonus 30 minutes with the purchase of a 60-minute card, so you would get 90 minutes for $30.
Yep.
What a fucking ripoff.
Oh, yeah.
But that's what we had to do.
I got... So I have AT&T for a provider, but it was back then, it was Singular.
Oh,
So-
singular. Wow.
The very first... I had a track phone.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I got an actual phone with a contract, back when contracts were a thing, was because I kept running out of minutes because I was texting all the time with my first girlfriend. And each text cost a minute and a quarter. So it was like 1.25 units.
Oh, wow.
Guess who ran out of minutes in a day?
Whoopsies.
And then back then, your cell phone contracts had like 100 texts and like 400 minutes. And
Yeah.
now, basically,
They
if
were-
you don't
yeah.
have unlimited minutes, it's
not
a
working.
sham.
Yep.
Yeah, unlimited text. Like, if it's
Yeah.
not unlimited text, it's a sham. Like,
Yeah.
it's unheard of now. But I won't, technology's grown so exponentially. Like, it's so unfathomable.
But
And-
that's to me, that's the thing, is that I didn't have a cell phone until I was in college. But now you see kids who not even if they don't have cell phones at an early age, what are they playing their games on? What are they doing? They have the Leap Pad, they have iPads, they have tablets.
Yeah, they got the.
They have all these
touches.
different kinds of tablets. It's like where we didn't have anything like
We
that.
had Tiger Electronics.
We had Tiger Electronics.
I dreamed of stuff like that when I was little, though, because like I grew up watching Star Trek. And all those shit.
Sure.
So like whenever you gotta remember, Star Trek Next Generation started in '88.
I think it was
that.
late 80s, yeah.
And like, so watching them all of a sudden be like, oh, we got to do this, and they pull out a tablet and do it shit. My brain was like, fuck, I would love something like
That's
that.
cool.
I felt like a fucking stud just working the remote to the television. You just being able to switch the inputs and shit. You were just like, this is the future. We've arrived.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
My first TV was still those hard dials, the
Yeah.
clip dials.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, and we had and I remember because we had an antenna on top of our house.
Yeah,
Obviously, everything was analog at that point. So we had I think it was called a rotor.
Yeah.
Inside the house, where you actually turned it and it would like
You would adjust the antenna outside.
It was loud as hell inside, and I didn't realize that as it's moving, it's turning the antenna
Yeah.
to try to get like the maximized thing.
That's
but
so funny.
But yeah, the technology leaps have just been so insane.
That's why, and like I said, I feel like we were just right there. We were the best generation to see everything explode.
But honestly, that's toys and
Dial
action
up,
figures.
for fuck's sake.
Oh my god, I still remember the sound of the
AOL Instant Messenger. AIM, motherfuckers.
AIM.
It's
AIM,
funny
that's
because
right.
my AIM name is literally like all of my
Andy Pants.
emails. Andy Pants, whatever.
316.
Don't say that because then people are going to email me.
Good. I hope everyone emails you.
So I was
But my AIM name is the same as all my emails.
I was Boba Fett 6.
Of course
Yep.
you were. I remember you.
With only one T, because apparently Star Wars was very big back then, so every name like Boba Fett was all taken, and so I did Boba Fett 6, and that was taken. So I'm like, okay, let's remove one T from it, and sure enough, I got it.
It's so funny.
Boba Fett 6.
I remember shit like that.
But anyway, let's digress at least 40 minutes back.
Yes. So back before I got to toys, yes.
So besides the LCD, what was your first Game Boy?
I had the brick.
You had the brick. What did you have?
So it was the brick as well too.
Yeah.
And the first game I had ever bought on it with my own money.
Oh my God.
Super Mario Land.
I believe it.
Super Mario Land, and one of the earliest games that I had gotten as a gift, and I remember it was Christmas Eve of 92, maybe even been 93. Maybe it was 93. But it was Christmas Eve, and I got Kirby's Dream Land. Kirby's Dream Land.
Oh
Yeah.
I played that game at a friend's house during a sleepover, and I fell in love with that game, and so I begged my parents for that game, and sure enough, Christmas Eve, I got it. And I remember staying up that night, and usually we were supposed to go to bed at 8 o'clock or something like that on Christmas Eve, because Santa Claus is coming, and I remember staying up until 10 or 11 o'clock, and I'm just I was just in love with that game. Love with it.
It was funny because for me, when my mom originally bought the original Game Boy for herself.
Oh,
she got it
for Tetris.
Well, she got Tetris, and then
Tetris
it was
the
Lock
packing
and
game.
Chase, and some Hyper Load Runner or whatever.
Oh yeah, they did Hyper.
So she she had gotten some casino games. She bought the thing for herself to use. But slowly but surely, we were constantly hey, Mom, can we play it? Can we play it? She got to the point where she was like, fine, just fucking take the damn thing. But I remember, that's what we used, because we used to go, every Christmas to my grandparents in Michigan.
Oh,
so we had the Game Boy.
Ride, yeah.
So we played the Game Boy, and eventually we ended up getting that magnifier light attachment.
The Light Boy.
The Game Boy Light.
Or wasn't it called the Light Boy?
I don't know.
It was just called yeah, maybe.
But it had the magnifying glass and the light.
Yep, I
so
remember
we could
that.
play it at night.
Yep.
And,
I had that for the Game Gear. It was a big
they had that
magnifier that you hooked onto.
Oh,
The Game
so
Gear was
funny.
backlit.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to worry about that.
But the one for the Game Boy came first.
Yeah. And that's how I spent card trips, was playing that. And then having to split time between me and 3 other siblings.
Yeah, but I envy that, because I, even as a kid and even as an adult, I can't do that. I can't play video games. I can't look down. I can't read while I'm a passenger in a car, because I will just get violently sick. I really will. It's bad.
So my first Game Boy, unfortunately, I was 11 when I first got mine. It was the Game Boy Pocket. It was the year
Somebody's poor.
It was the year the Game Boy Pocket released in 1996.
Oh wow, that's
I remember
right.
those
Came
with
with-
1,000 colors.
came with
7
Link's
colors or
Awakening.
whatever.
That was the game that I first got. Was Link's Awakening and Dr. Mario. Obviously, Link's Awakening was what I played heavily.
Hey, oh shit.
And
Link's
then, of
Awakening
course-
or Link's Awakening DX?
DX was Game Boy Color.
Okay.
Because that was the whole...
Yes, it was.
The DX part that added the color
Deluxe.
That's right.
And
There we
DX
go.
stood for Deluxe, yeah.
So I had the original Link's... I think I still actually have my original Link's Awakening.
Oh, I totally do.
Yeah, I don't even think I have the DX. But, and it wasn't long after that obviously I got Pokemon, But I remember having the light, the little Game Boy light that you plugged in the side, because it had the link cable thing.
The spiral.
Yeah,
the spiral one that came up the side. Yeah.
It plugged into the link cable thing, and it off the side spiraled up, and it was the little light. I
It
remember
was a little
having
wire
that.
light you could bend and flex. And
Yeah,
Oh, really?
it was
Oh, that's
really
funny.
cool. But I remember that I had a red one because that was it came in colors.
Oh, yep.
Because it wasn't something that happened with the brick until later.
It's basically someone saw the ones you could clip onto books and was like, I could
Yeah.
make one of those for the Game Boy.
For the Game Boy, yeah, why not?
But yeah, I know my brother got a blue one. I got the red one.
We eventually got the green one because my sister and I both ended up getting a pocket at one point.
Mm-hmm. I love
because
the
we
Game
ended
Boy
up
Pocket.
we both got Pokemon, so
Yeah.
she got one version, I got the other, and then we played.
How long did the Game Boy last on batteries? Because I know that one took double A's.
It did. It
How many
took
did
four
took
double A's.
Game
Four
Boy
double
Pocket
A's.
took 2 triples. So I would assume, because I know the Game
I
Boy
remember it
Pocket...
lasting pretty good for
It
a
was.
time.
I want to say that it was at least a good, maybe 4 hours, 5 hours, probably.
Oh my God.
The original brick. I mean, it was 4 double A's.
Yeah, that's true. The original, I remember ours lasted roughly 10.
10
with
hours?
the 2 AA's, and then it would. But it also had the
AA's,
addition of the LED light.
You mean
that
two AAA's?
2 triples.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And but it also had the light that would start to flicker and it would tell you when the thing's gonna die.
I think the fat one has that too, doesn't it?
It had something like that. It had a low battery indicator.
Yeah, there was something on the side of the screen.
Yeah,
that
it
was
would
just
just
a red light.
there was no light, and then when it would get to low battery, it would turn red.
Yeah.
And then basically you had probably about a good
20 minutes.
5, 10, sometimes 15 minutes,
Oh my
and
God.
then everything would just like slowly shut
I've
down.
done that before. Like
I have to.
if you're playing it and it shuts off, like it runs out of battery, the way the screen shuts off
The
is
way
just
it
weird.
fades is super. I take that back. The Game Boy Pockets didn't flash. You could just tell how much battery life was left based on the strength of the light. So it was super bright when you had fresh batteries, and it would slowly
That's
dim.
right. I think that's probably what it. Yes, for the
Boom.
Game Boy, for the original Game Boy, that's what it was too.
Yeah.
Because then it would get lighter and lighter until you're just like, oh no,
Fuck, fuck,
yeah, exactly. I gotta find a save point.
Yeah.
I've done that a couple of times with like
Password.
Metroid 2.
Oh,
Trying to find a safe spot, and you're like, gotta get there. No!
That was actually one of my favorite things, was turning the Game Boy off and watching the image disappear.
Yeah.
I always thought that was one of the coolest.
Because it would
images.
disappear so slowly. It's almost like pixel by pixel.
Well,
It
'cause
was-
those LCD screens,
Yeah.
they didn't have the refresh rate.
Yeah.
Well,
and they were monochrome too, so it was.
The biggest difference between the Pocket and the original Game Boy was the original Game Boy screen was green tinted.
It was.
And the Game Boy Pockets was a grayscale. It was black and white.
Oh.
Well, it was black and gray, I guess, more so. Not so much white, but it was darker. So it was like things looked crisper compared to the original
okay,
Game
gotcha.
Boy, and
It
there
had
was
higher
less motion
contrast.
blur.
It had higher contrast,
Yeah.
basically.
Gotcha.
So unfortunately,
Although, on the original one, there was a contrast slider, wasn't
Yes,
there?
there was. Yeah.
So you could you could adjust how
To adjust the
bright and dark the screen
tint,
was, to where you
basically.
could actually, if you went in all the way, the screen just went like black.
Yeah,
Yep.
I feel like the Game Boy
you
Color
literally
did that
couldn't
too.
see
Nope,
anything.
you couldn't.
Or I feel like the Game Boy Pocket did that too.
And that's why it's funny, because you had like a good maybe 1 to 2 minutes too. When the thing went to low battery, then the display would get lighter and lighter,
Sorry.
and you just scroll the contrast down. It's like, no, I still got like a minute or so.
That's so funny.
You start your countdown.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I missed the boat on the Game Boy Color. I did not have one. I didn't get another Game Boy till the Advance, which was after the Color.
Yeah.
Which I was very upset about, because I don't know how, but I don't know. I did play those.
I played on a Game Boy Color, but to be honest, what little color was added to games wasn't super impressive to me.
It was still pretty amazing looking, but because wasn't Pokemon Gold and Silver?
That was Game Boy Color.
Yeah.
I played it on my Game Boy Pocket.
Yeah, they were backwards compatible. And if you put red and blue into a Game Boy Color, they were either red or blue.
Wait, you could literally play Gold and Silver on the original Game Boy?
Yeah, I did.
Oh.
That's why it was surprising to me when you told me that the Super Game Boy would not play Gold and Silver or something, because I didn't think
Maybe I
Pokemon
haven't.
Crystal was Game Boy Color.
Maybe I haven't tried then, because I just assumed that came out during the Game Boy Color era, and Game Boy Color games don't work on the Game Boy.
Right.
It might work on
Super Game Boy.
Super Game Boy.
I know it works on Pocket. It may not work on the original Fat Brick.
No.
Because Crystal, which was the
Crystal
topper,
wasn't that. Yes.
was Game Boy Color.
and that was like the clear.
There was
That was
the
the clear
clear case
cartridge though.
with the bump.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
And those games you could not play on the Super Game Boy.
No.
But the Gold and Silver were literally just colored almost the same way as the.
Kind of like a colored card.
Well, like the blue and red was.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't know, or I didn't think that Gold and Silver were Game Boy Color games.
Oh man, maybe they.
Maybe they weren't.
Yeah, but if
Shadowgate
you-
was a black cartridge.
Yeah, but if you look at the boxes for Gold and Silver, it'll say on the side Game Boy Color though.
Does it?
The box was
might,
Game Boy
yeah.
Color.
I'm fairly certain, yeah, they do.
I'm almost 100% sure, because they are not considered the original gray carts. The only original run.
It does say
Yeah.
Game Boy Color on it.
The only
That's
original
so
run,
odd.
the only original run games, Pokemon games that came out for the original Gray Brick were Red, Blue, and Yellow. And Yellow was actually one of 2 games that were the last ones of the original Game Boy before everything went to Game Boy Color.
That's so bizarre. Maybe it just said Game Boy Color because it was that era that came out.
It did. It
But
did.
no,
It
it
came
was
out in that.
played.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was intended for use on the Game Boy Color, but
Yeah.
Nintendo's been pretty good with their handhelds about
They
backwards
knew that. They knew that there was. hundreds of millions of Game Boys, the original Game Boys out there. So why would they want to screw over their old client base where they could still sell the games?
Well, and that's even why, like, when it jumped from color and stuff to advance, being able to grab the original games and put them in there and play was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
That was huge.
The fact that, hell, even to the DS. The DS itself could play the original DS,
and then it
had the Advance, which could also play color, which could also play the original Game Boy. It was such a cool thing. I remember certain games had like little Easter eggs, depending on what cartridge you had plugged in.
Yeah,
that was such a genius idea,
Mm-hmm.
and I think honestly that was one of the biggest selling points to upgrading your system to the newer one, was because you could keep playing shit you already owned.
Oh yeah.
It's not like current generation systems where it's like, well, now I'm playing. Now I have to buy games for this, even though I already have all these fucking PS3 games. Now now I got to buy a whole new set of games. It's like, no, fucking, you got a Game Boy Advance, you can still play your entire library.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I feel like that's 75% of their success rate is because of that.
Mm-hmm.
You're just expanding the library. You're not cutting it off.
Yep, exactly. So with the with my Game Boy, like, I kind of inherited it from my older brother. I was probably in like 2nd or 3rd grade, so I was like 7 or 8 years old.
You've been 8.
And I mean, I played that thing to death. I had Super Mario Land, Kirby. We had Dr. Mario for it. Of all games, we had Star Trek, the 25th anniversary game. And I played the hell out of that game.
Oh my god.
For some reason, I played the hell out of it.
I had Kid Dracula.
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't.
You little liar. But I mean, I don't remember having a lot of games, but I remember in middle school is when I was first exposed to Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
And
me too.
And then I remember going out and buying Pokemon Blue and just playing the hell out of it.
Blue.
And
I was a blue baby.
oh, good. I was gonna say blue was the color, man.
Blue was the color.
Just
And fucking
just because you wanted Blastoise's cannons in your face.
On the face.
But it was funny because I think the only thing that really saved me from still playing Game Boy at the time was Pokemon, because I had gotten a PlayStation in '97, and that really kind of... So I had a Super Nintendo before that, and I just loved the Super Nintendo. And then I had a PlayStation 1, and it just literally, once Pokemon was done, I didn't go to Game Boy Color. I never bought a Game Boy Advance. I just basically stuck with my PlayStation, and that was it.
Wow. Yeah. Especially once stuff like Metal Gear Solid came out.
Oh, yeah.
I was just like, Nintendo who?
Exactly. Resident Evil 2.
PlayStation took the console thing by storm.
Oh, yeah. That was when I was big into fighting games, too. So Mortal Kombat 3 was on the PlayStation. Mortal Kombat Trilogy was one of my favorite.
That era was like racing games.
Was my favorite fighting game. X-Men vs. Street Fighter came out around that time. Street Fighter Alpha 3.
Jesus Christ.
Like, Superheroes vs. X-Men.
See, I didn't play that one a lot. When
I was still RPG dedicated back then.
Yeah.
Like,
I played those too.
Which was why PlayStation took a while for me to get into, because there weren't anything super great until FF7 came out, and then I was blown away.
Well, and it's so funny because when you think about it, Resident Evil was basically the I would say the father, not the grandfather, but the father of survival horror.
Yeah.
And even on the PlayStation era, like, everything was so compared to Resident Evil that all of the survival horror titles until Silent Hill came out really just fade up into obscurity, because they didn't really make all that many of them because they didn't have that catch.
Well, there was Clock Tower for the SNES, but that never came out here.
No, it didn't. And then they did release Clock Tower, which was actually Clock Tower 2 on the PlayStation. But, I mean, as a kid, not even as a kid, but when I was playing those games, I don't ever even remember seeing it, like, on store shelves.
No.
It really didn't get that much coverage or anything like that.
Which one, Clock Tower?
Clock Tower. I remember renting
seeing it a couple of times, but...
I remember renting Clock Tower.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Scissorman scared the piss out of me as a child.
Like, literally?
Oh, yeah.
You pissed yourself?
It was when he stabbed through the box...
Oh, yeah, no, that's...
Straight up fountain, dude.
That was... No, that's actually... I remember playing that game for the first time, and, ironically speaking, as, like, a 20-something-year-old. And... I remember playing that game and remember hiding in a box, and literally he starts, like, he looks at the box, he, like, turns away for a second, and then he quickly turns towards the box, lifts up the shears, and as he shoves them into the box, I remember literally screaming out loud, like, thinking, oh my god, like, that's me in the box. Like, he just killed me. And
That's so funny.
It's just, yeah, that was one of the first games I ever played where it was like, as corny as it is being a point and click, it was genuinely terrifying the first time I played it.
It really was, because that one, I mean, captures the feeling of helplessness.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because you really don't get weapons and stuff like that to defend yourself.
No, not at all.
You ever do the one where it's like you go into the bathroom to hide from him, and there's like a glass door, like in the like shower door or something like that, and he'll sometimes jump through the glass and then freaking impale you with the scissors. Mm-hmm. Oh god, that was terrifying too.
And then anytime Paul walked into the bathroom with the glass door, he's like, "Nope, I'm out."
No, yeah.
Only 5,000. All right, so we've established Paul didn't have any handhelds. What about you, Kevin? Did you have anything past the Game Boy for a while?
I had Advance. Unfortunately, I never did upgrade mine to the SP.
Sad.
I always just had the that purplish one because we played Pokemon against each other a couple times. And
see, and that was I had the Game Boy SP, but like long after the fact. Though.
Yeah, I remember because I remember you did it for Pokemon Red when I let you borrow that.
Yeah.
But yeah, because
Fire Red.
Ruby. Or Ruby. Yes, Ruby.
Yeah, because I remember having like the link cable battles and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, the link cables were awesome. That's how me and Alec would trade, and we the Pokemon trading card game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I played that on my Game Boy Pocket too, and I fucking loved it.
Played some of
it was somewhat fun, but yeah.
Let's see. Like after Advance, I never upgraded to SP. I never had the original DS, but I had the second generation DS.
You had the second,
the thinner ones.
You had the one without the DS or the DS slot or the advanced slot.
Yeah, and they were smaller. Yeah. Like they weren't that weird oblong shape anymore.
It was almost like a big fucking like clamshell.
Yeah.
And then it went to a more sleek, smooth design.
It almost basically went to what like the 3DS and stuff is.
Yeah.
Then I've had 3DS. I've also had Vita.
Yep.
Well,
PSP and Vita. Yep.
And Vita.
Well, I guess before we start jumping into that, I guess I'm the only one here that had a Game Gear growing up.
Yeah, I never had a Game Gear.
I knew someone who had one, and I got to play some games on it, but yeah, I never owned one.
So for the Game Gear, I had Mega Man, which was awesome. Because it was a weird...
For the Game Gear?
For the Game Gear, they had a Mega Man.
Was that Wily Wars or just Mega Man? No, Wily Wars was for Genesis.
Wily Wars
That's right.
Genesis.
So it was just...
I had Mega Man, and it was a weird mix of 4 and 5, if I'm not mistaken. Because I remember certain bosses being in there from 4 and 5. So there was that, and I remember it was actually a super cool port, and I loved playing it. I had Dynamite Heady. We had... the crown jewel of the Game Gear, in my opinion, was Shining Force, Sword of Asia. Fucking insanely good game, and I remember absolutely loving it. Because I was in such a Shining Force kick back then, because it was one of the landmark titles on the Genesis. It was cool having it on the Game Gear.
On the Game Gear, yeah.
Let's see, I had Axe Battler, which was part of the Golden Axe series.
Oh, okay.
Which was a weird, like, almost like Demon's Crest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like a Demon's Crest Gargoyle's Quest-esque game. It was actually really fun.
Interesting.
And then there were a whole shitload of games I always wish we got for it, but never did. But I love the Game Gear.
You know, it's crazy
Such a great system.
I had a friend who had a Game Gear, and I played it at his house a couple of times. I never really got into it, though.
No?
See, we had borrowed it from... I remember there was a trip we went on at one point, and my brother borrowed it from his friend for the trip. So we played that, and yeah, it was fun, but I don't know. Maybe it just was my attention span on that trip. Just the stuff didn't hold my attention very long.
Yeah.
I remember playing Sonic on it, and
Triple Trouble.
And then Sonic basically had on Game Gear had the same issue you had with the console version. Was I could jump the entire stage.
Yeah.
All of a sudden I'm going up, I'm off. I'm floating across more than half the map, and look, there's the end. We're done.
Pretty much, yeah.
There was an X-Men game on there, wasn't there?
Yes, there was. Game Master's Legacy.
Yeah, because I remember playing that.
I think, Game Master's Legacy, and I believe they did Arcade's Revenge. They also released on it as well.
I don't know which one it was I played, but I remember playing that, mostly because, look, X-Men.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I remember very much loving the Game Gear just by the fact that it was backlit, which was incredible. It was in color, and it was very crisp and beautiful looking for the time.
Yeah,
it was such a weird step above the Game Boy at the time that it blew me away.
It was, but at the same time, though, you needed to have...
Oh, boy.
Batteries.
You needed to have the adapter for it, because...
6 AA's.
6 AA's, and you had, what, like 45 minutes? Yeah.
So you were...
Exactly.
We pretty much... Luckily, it could use... it used the Genesis's AC adapter.
Oh,
it was exactly the same.
Oh, nice.
So luckily, we had the Gen 1 and Gen 2 Genesis adapters, so one of them worked with it. But that was the only problem, is you couldn't stray too far from an outlet.
No, you could not.
Which, you know, the Game Gear, I actually still have my Game Gear in quite a few of the games. But it was kind of a limited experience with it, and I'm curious to see what a lot of the library was for the Game Gear. But from there, my dad bought us the Nomad, the Sega Nomad.
Yeah.
The coolest idea, and it just goes to show you how forward-thinking Sega really was at the time. The Nomad was incredible.
They weren't forward-thinking.
They were.
They just...
Was there a portable Super Nintendo at that time?
There was not. There was a portable...
Was there a portable Nintendo at the time?
There was.
What?
The GameX.
Here.
Not here.
Exactly.
But,
not here.
But in Japan, they already had it, and they just decided that us Western gamers probably couldn't use a portable game console.
See,
doesn't mean that they're forward thinking.
They were forward thinking.
Go to hell.
Could you hook the GameX up to your television?
Probably not.
You could the Nomad.
Oh wow!
It was essentially.
Oh wow!
Think about how innovative that is right now. It's a huge step. It was essentially a console, a handheld console. It was a Switch before the Switch.
It's also part of what started burying Sega.
Unfortunately, the Nomad was at the end of their run.
Exactly.
Well, and actually, for the Game Gear, I don't ever remember putting batteries into it because we had that on the back of it.
The power pack. Yes, I remember that.
I remember seeing ads for the Nomad in issues of GamePro magazine. Yeah. Do you remember GamePro?
Oh yeah.
They were one of the definitive ones for frickin' like video game news and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I remember always turned into GamePro.
But I remember my Nomad blew me away. Unfortunately, that was also 6 to 8 AA's, which also gave it about an hour of battery life.
Oh my god.
But if you use rechargeable batteries, it actually wasn't that bad.
Yeah, until you didn't drain the batteries properly.
But I remember just being so incredibly, I fell in such love with it because now I'm playing my Genesis on the go. I'm able to play Light Crusaders, Shining Force 2, Phantasy Star 4, all these amazing Genesis games are handheld, and it was backlit, which was incredible. The Game Boy had nothing on it. Which, then, we get the PSP.
Yeah.
By PlayStation. The PSP, for all intents and purposes, was superior to the Game Boy.
Well, it was superior to everything on the market. It beat some of the home consoles for me. The only thing that sucked about PSP was they decided to go with UMDs. Those mini discs.
I remember what the UMDs were.
I don't know if people... Because we have people that might not know what the fuck they were.
They don't need to know what they were.
Well, isn't the GameCube games essentially the same idea, but out of the case?
No, they're smaller. Like the UMDs are smaller than...
Even smaller.
I thought they were about the same size.
No,
maybe you're
They're
right.
smaller. But, that killed them. I mean, it was cool. I loved the look of them, and they were fun to, pop in and stuff, but...
Their proprietary memory cards also suck, too.
See, for the PSP, that wasn't an issue. The Vita, that was.
That's right.
The PSP, you could buy any generic SanDisk dual memory stick thing and put it in there because... That's what I bought. I remember when I bought my PSP used, remember we went there and there was porn on it.
Yeah, that's right, because GameStop didn't wipe it.
So I booted up my PSP on the way back to his apartment, and I'm like, oh. And so, the background was just some nude chick, and I started going through the memory card, because I bought the PSP and a memory card. But the one I picked had a memory card already in it, and was full of porn.
Oh my god.
So we're driving back.
Porn station portable, baby.
So you could download that shit to your PSP?
It had a browser.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
That was part of what actually kind of killed off the PSP, because of being able to use any memory card you wanted. It was really easy to make emulators for it.
You could hack it.
So people were getting the very large capacity SD sticks and putting a bunch of games onto it, popping it, and just playing games and not buying games.
Oh, gotcha.
And that's why when the Vita came out, they went with proprietary memory cards because of the rampant hacking on the PSP.
Yeah.
So,
but it was just funny because when was the PSP? What Game Boy equivalent was that? Was that around DS era?
I think that was the DS.
DS.
Or was that still advanced?
PSP was.
I feel like it was DS.
PSP was around 2006. Wait, no, maybe it was even earlier than that.
I think it was just it was just at. Was it really?
October 2008.
Was PSP?
Shit.
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
Holy fuck!
No.
I feel like I waited. We must.
No.
When did Phantasy Star Portable 2 come out? Because that was one of the huge reasons we bought it. Was the Phantasy Star Portable.
That's the second version.
Oh, the PSP Go.
Yeah.
That thing was a
Japan,
loser.
December 12th, 2004, March 24th, 2005.
2005.
So
okay,
2008 was the Go. That was the...
Yeah.
So it was the DS was that era.
Okay. But I remember having... Because I had a DS, obviously, and I had a lot of DS games. And I remember when my brother had a PSP, because he worked at GameStop at the time. Mm-hmm. And I remember picking up the PSP for the first time and just thinking... Holy shit, dude, everything on here is gorgeous because the screen's huge, it's vibrant, the game controls well. The only weird thing was the thumbstick for the dual, it wasn't a dual stick at the time, but it was
little nub on
the little nub was the analog. It was very awkward.
Where is the nub?
Right down there in the corner.
It's in the lower left corner.
That's it?
It was awkward. And that's
super awkward.
That version he's showing you is the fat version.
Yeah.
They came out with a slimmed one, which was even smaller.
Oh, jeez.
So it was kind of awkward to use the stick, but I remember the games blew me away. You had the Legend of Heroes games, which are incredible.
This was the slimline.
I had a gray slimline.
Oh,
the analog stick was a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I remember seeing those ones. But
like I said, we played Phantasy Star Portable
that you could
all
hook up
the
to your
time.
television.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. That was one thing Game Boy hasn't done since the Game Boy player. So since the Advance, you haven't been able to play Game Boy games on your TV.
On your TV.
Honestly, some of the games that came out for this thing were just amazing.
Oh, like I said, Legend of Heroes were incredible. It had it was essentially a portable PlayStation, which was the idea. But the games were so stellar on it that, honestly, for all intents and purposes,
oh my god, they did like a slider version of it.
That's the Go that went pure digital.
Pure digital, and it completely failed.
No, terrible. Oh my god, even the setup of that
it's the original PS3 interface.
Yeah, it was the PS3 interface. Holy cow.
The XMB or whatever they called it.
That's crazy.
The cross menu bar.
Something like that. Yeah.
I remember one of the games that they released for the PSP was the Silent Hill Experience, they called it. And it was like, it wasn't even a game, it was just more of like bonus features and stuff like that.
It was cool because they had like movies and shit you could buy for the PSP.
Yeah. They had PSP,
which actually wasn't out of the ordinary because they had episodes you could buy for the Game Boy Advance. I remember going to Electronics Boutique, Software, etc. They had Pokemon episodes.
I have a TMNT one. It's like changes constant or things change or something like that was the name, and it had 2 episodes.
Yeah, it was like cartoons.
It literally had the 2003 TMNT animated show, and there was 2 episodes on it.
Yeah,
I'm like, how the hell did they do this?
It was so cool. But like, for all intents and purposes, the PSP was a Game Boy killer. It was superior in almost every way.
It was the handheld killer.
It should have been. Just like the Zune was supposed to kill the iPod.
Yeah, they even had a frickin' funeral for the iPod when Zune came out.
I was one of the few who had a Zune.
Oh, I know you did. I
loved it. I loved my Zune. It just didn't have the backing. Nope. Which was, unfortunately, the PSP's problem. Sony realized the PSP just wasn't performing as well as the Game Boy, so they ditched it. Which, unfortunately, was they repeated the same pattern with the Vita. They dropped all support and the thing plummeted.
You had, Vita got a bunch of games first that, once they were re-released on, PS3, PS4, because it was the Gravity one.
Gravity Rush.
There we go. Because that was originally just a Vita game.
Right.
And it was, critical, massive reception, and then got ported over...
Rush was incredible.
And then got ported over to the consoles and went even bigger.
Yeah, they made Gravity Rush 2.
Well, and what they tried to do with the PS Vita is they tried to put more mainstream and more, big hits on there, like the Golden Abyss.
Creed.
They also tried to push a lot of the cross-save feature.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I could play this on my PS3, transfer the save data to my Vita, and continue playing on the go.
Trails of Cold Steel could do that. When that one came out, you could buy the PS3 version and it had cross save. Dragon's Crown could do that.
And that's the one thing I will say I liked about some of the stuff Sony was doing with those was if you bought certain games digitally, you got both versions.
It was genius.
Oh, that's cool.
So, like, I'd buy it on my Vita. Well, if I had a PS3, I could just log into the same account, and I have it for my PS3 now. Mm-hmm. So I could just transfer my save data and go as I wish.
So, I mean, on paper, you look at the PSP and the Vita, it's doing things miles beyond what the Game Boy has ever done.
Yeah.
And yet, somehow, the Game Boy just still comes out on top. They're the kings, and they've never been dethroned.
Well, to be honest, I think a lot of that is still, well, I already have this, why do I need that?
Part of it too might just be brand recognition. I mean, Game Boy's got Mario, you got Zelda,
that's
you got Pokemon.
It does have the IPs, but also it's got the battle tested seal of approval though. Game Boy has been around literally in one form or another since 1989.
Yeah, and
it wasn't until PSP, it may have been the superior one, or even Game Gear to a lesser degree, but Game Gear didn't come out until what, 93, 94?
I think so.
I mean, I mean, every system, and actually no, even back further than that, the Atari Lynx. Do you remember the Atari Lynx?
Yes.
So the Atari Lynx was Atari's run at a portable system as well too, like a handheld system.
I definitely 93 was the Sega Gamegear.
And Atari Lynx had absolutely no there was no advertising behind it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What?
The Game Gear was 1990 in Japan, April 91 for us.
Oh, 91.
Oh, fuck, okay. I didn't realize it was that
so
early.
It came out, so it came out 2 years after the Game Boy.
Yeah, okay. 3 to 5 hours on 6AA. Suck my dick.
Yeah, BS. No.
Maybe at minimum settings, like light and...
Oh my god, that's funny.
So, but I mean, you had the Game Boy, which was what, like $100 when it came out. The Game Gear was what, $150? Or was it more than that?
What's that?
The Game Gear. How much was Game Gear when that came out?
I'll look it up, but keep going.
But everything else was just, it was so much more expensive, but they knew that with like Game Boy and every iteration there, you'll still get your Marios, you'll get your Zeldas, you'll get your Metroid, you'll get whatever game it is that you want. You'll get a quality system, but you'll get it cheaper than anything else. $150
at launch.
So yeah, at launch. And I'm pretty sure that the Game Boy literally at launch was like $100. It was $99.99.
I think so. That sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're.
So I mean, it's just it was battle tested, and nobody has been able to dethrone it. But I think it does have the brand recognition. But they also pumped the advertising into it that no other company really gives.
I know in like Sega's case, anytime Sega of America would start doing stuff, Sega of Japan would kind of sabotage it.
Yeah.
So you had stuff like that. So that's why
there was a lot of infighting.
So like for Sega, for like Game Gear and Nomad not to pick up, that's probably part of it.
Yeah.
Those probably would have done a lot better had Sega of Japan kind of been like, all right, go. Do what's best for you. Yeah. And that's one thing. Nintendo of Japan was so. They were always welcoming to the idea that if Nintendo of America was doing well, that's great. Yeah. But then again, I guess that's one of the good things about that is that Hiroshi Yamauchi was the owner, the president of Nintendo of Japan, and basically his son-in-law was the guy who was the CEO of Nintendo of America. So I mean that kind of probably makes it a lot easier to get along. Yeah. So Nintendo or Sega of America and Sega of Japan were like literally a Japanese company and an American company, like with Americans
butting heads
because Sega of Japan wanted to be in charge of everything. They wanted to be more popular than anything, and they didn't see it as, well, Sega of Japan and Sega of America are the same company, just in two different locations. Mm-hmm. They saw it as, no, Sega of America is no different. Rivals for some reason. Yeah, they're no different than Nintendo. And why would you do that?
Yeah, which is why like the Nomad and the Game Gear fell so hard. Oh yeah, is because like they had such weak support from the other. Mm-hmm. So it's no wonder.
Yeah.
But it still makes you kind of wonder about like the Vita and all that. Why they dropped support?
Well, the Vita they shot like okay. Vita's biggest failing point was those memory cards. They were way too expensive for not enough memory.
They were ridiculously expensive.
That is what shot the Vita in the foot.
Yeah.
Because, and like, okay, I get Sony's reasoning. Yeah, the PSP was super ridiculously easy to hack and mod and get games and just download them for.
Well, that's like that guy was telling us at that one place in Milwaukee, he had the PSP Go. And he said that thing is like huge amongst like hackers
the hacking community,
yeah, because you can do anything to it.
Yeah, that's why they go for so much still.
That's what he was saying too. Is that they still sell, and it's hard to actually find an unmodified one because people literally buy them just to modify.
Yeah,
them.
Which annoys the piss out of me, to be honest.
Well, with the Go, not so much because that's just.
It was a dumb idea. It was trying to be too far ahead of technology.
Yeah, that's
like the whole pure digital debate we had.
Yeah. But like, as far as like PSP failing, like it had far and away better games than anything Nintendo offered.
Yeah, I would say so.
It had the better RPGs, it had the better action games, better fighting games, better racing games. Nintendo couldn't compete with games.
It also sold for the price of a actual like console though.
I think PSP
was $299, wasn't it?
No, I didn't think it was.
PSP launch price.
Yeah, I don't think it was that expensive.
I think it was more expensive than you guys are remembering.
$250. Oh. Oh yeah, $250 for us, $300 for Canada.
Told you.
Jesus Christ.
It's higher than you thought.
At the time though, that was what, the DS equivalent?
Mm-hmm. No, the DS. No, that was only $150.
DS price launch. Or launch price. Let's see.
I'm willing to bet.
I don't think so. I think I remember spending quite a bit on the DS.
You spent that on the 3DS, and they justified that after the fact.
Yep, your DS was $150 at launch.
Told you. Nintendo, if anything, that is one thing that they have always done and they have always stuck to is that they don't care if they lose however much money per system. They know that the software and the games are what's going to that's the real money. That's the real pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
You're right. 3DS launched at $250, and I remember specifically buying that game for Black and White. Or not Black and White, Diamond and Pearl.
For Diamond and Pearl.
Yeah.
And because
nope, it wasn't
you bought
the 3DS. That was the DS. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because you bought the 3DS at $250 too. Because I think it was literally a month later they lowered the price to $150, and then they gave everybody who bought that the presidential
ambassador program,
the ambassador program, and they give you $100 worth of
advanced games.
Stuff. Yeah,
I got Kirby and the Amazing Mirror or something. I got a few. It was a whole bunch of advanced games that were on it. It wasn't really worth it.
I don't know.
Honest.
Nintendo also has the habit, especially with their handhelds. Oh, we got this version. New version. Guess what? A couple months later, new version.
Yeah.
Guess what? We're going to release it in another color now.
That was something that started with the DS.
Yeah, it was.
Because you had the DS, you had the DS Lite, which got rid of the advanced slot.
You had the
DSi. And then it went, and I think that was it for that, because then it went to the 3DS.
The 3DS.
The 3DS XL.
3DS XL.
Well, and then the
2DS.
The 2DS, and then Nintendo has a bad habit of doing this.
Yes, they do.
Like Sony, at least with PSP, when they upgraded it, it was not just we're going to slightly change it. It's a full hardware upgrade with each of those.
Mm-hmm.
So they changed better screen, better battery, better fucking CD slot and stuff like that. So
which, to the point, the 3DS did as well. When I upgraded my 3DS to the 3DS XL that I have, because I remember getting the Legend of Zelda ones when
worlds different.
Worlds different. The battery life was nearly double. The screen was huge, and it just overall played better.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in a weird way, it was still that kind of a hardware upgrade.
Yeah, but Nintendo's been doing it since the original Game Boy.
They have.
I mean, there was Game Boy, Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Color, and I mean, even Game Boy Pocket came out in how many different fucking colors?
There was also I think it ended up being only a UK exclusive, but there was Game Boy Light. Do you guys remember that one?
No.
It's like a super tiny Game Boy.
The Game Boy Micro.
Oh, Game Boy Micro.
The
that Micro one. Advance. Yeah, I remember a friend came up with her girlfriend for a poker night one time when I lived in Oak Creek, and she brought the Game Boy Micro, and I thought, dude, that thing is awesome. I want that.
That's the one that almost looks like a little NES controller, right?
Almost, yeah. It's actually, it's smaller than an NES controller.
Yeah, it's kind of tiny. And then I'm thinking to myself,
No.
Don't think I like that as
I'll
much.
probably break it.
What's this made for? Ants?
It really.
Yeah, just about, yeah.
But yeah, it amazes me, and it's funny too because you see a lot of Vita games coming to like PS3 and PS4. I mean, Final Fantasy Type O was a Vita game,
and that's why like the games like the Trails of Cold Steel and stuff. If you look at it, it was clearly made for a handheld.
Yeah.
But because the system didn't do as well, they ported it over, and now the game's getting the recognition it deserves.
Yeah. Which it's sad because there are some games you can tell you're like, this was a handheld game.
Yeah, like I said, Trails of Cold, I can tell it was a handheld.
Yeah. Luckily, the remastered versions they did are actually much better than like it's like PS3 and Vita counterparts, but still, there are certain times you're just like, this looks pretty bad. But yeah, there were other handheld systems, like you said, the Atari Lynx. Honestly, besides like the main contenders of the console wars, like the 3DO, I didn't understand. They had all sorts of shit.
Well, the 3DO...
Did you consider Virtual Boy a handheld?
No,
really.
It's not a handheld.
It was a desktop.
Yeah, you couldn't just take that thing with you anywhere.
It was kind of small, though. Wasn't it?
Did you ever use one?
I used one way back at
They
the
had
KV.
to have that stand.
It had to be on a stand that you like literally.
There was no headset for it. It was designed to look like a virtual reality headset,
you
but
stuck your face in.
But it had to be on a stand. There was no headset for it.
No, I know there was a stand.
Dumb.
It wasn't like Tiger Electronics, who then created the what was it called, like the R Zone or something like that. Do you remember that?
Yes, they did, and it had those types of graphics.
Oh god, I do remember
the vector graphics.
Yeah,
the red vector graphics.
And what was it? They also had like their own like system too, like the type. Wasn't it called like the N-Gage or something like that? Do you remember that?
That was
ours.
Wasn't. Wait, that wasn't Atari. Wasn't that Atari?
The N-Gage? No,
no,
I don't think so.
I remember
the N-Gage was the phone.
Was it?
Yes,
but it was Tiger Electronics, wasn't it?
I don't know, but there was because like there was this one, the one that just went over your eye.
Yes.
And then there was
you actually used the controller.
You're right.
For it.
N-Gage was.
And then there was this one.
XPG? What the hell is that?
It was the same thing, but instead of being in front of your face, it was all handheld.
It was just a handheld.
The N-Gage was a Nokia system. It was a phone.
It was a
Nokia thing. It came with 2 games: Sonic, MotoGP, and Tomb Raider.
And Tomb Raider.
I guess. It only sold 3 million units.
Wait, 3 million? That's a lot of freaking units,
sold 10.9.
Oh wow, I guess maybe
that's jack shit in the fucking handheld race. Actually, I'm curious to see what like the Nomad system did. The second Nomad release was $350. Holy tits!
What? Wait, say that again.
The Nomad upon release was $350.
See. And I think that's honestly one of the big things that has been one of the biggest sellers of Nintendo and their portable systems is they always make them affordable.
Wow, I didn't realize the Nomad was a North American exclusive.
Oh, I didn't realize that either.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just remember seeing ads for it in GamePro magazine.
It was never officially released worldwide because it employed a regional lockout. It had a lockout chip on it. But it fell to the wayside because the Sega Saturn essentially released around the same time, and the Nomad fell underappreciated.
Yep.
Wow.
And that's why it became a collector's item, because people went out to buy the Sega Saturn instead of the Nomad.
Yeah.
So you don't really see too many of them.
No, I consider myself very fortunate that I had a Nomad.
That's what their Tiger thing was that I was thinking of. Gamecom. Do you remember the Gamecom?
Christ. Okay, so you know where Kohl's and like Petco is out on Green Bay Road?
Of course.
There used to be a KB Toys or some sort of toy shop there.
Of course it was. It was KB Toys.
I think it was because it had the blue carpet. Toyworks. That was it. Yep. So that's where I played the Virtual Boy.
God, I miss that place. I miss it so much.
Dude, I just miss KB Toys and Toys R Us in general.
Oh my God, it's. I feel like we're like I'm about to cry thinking about like. In our time, like think about all the places we've lost. We've lost Toyworks. We've lost Toys R Us. We've lost Funko Land. We've lost Radio Shack. Like, all of these golden places It was Circuit City. We lost Circuit City.
4-star video.
4-star video.
Rental
Blockbuster.
Oh
we lost fucking Blockbuster.
No!
I gotta say, some of these aren't exactly losses.
you know something? Go to hell.
Circuit City.
Who cares?
Yeah, for the most, I don't even know why.
It was basically bitch Best Buy.
I don't. Yeah, it really
It was the Kmart of Best Buy.
I miss Best Buy.
The poor man's Best Buy.
I miss Best Buy.
Best Buy's still around, but not.
No, it's not.
Not quite the same. Not quite the same.
I miss the Best Buy we grew up with.
Oh,
with the whole
yeah.
gaming section.
The whole gaming section.
There's still a gaming section. It's
all
just
of
behind
the-
the fridges.
all of the
On ice, would you say?
all the movies and the CDs, the just rows upon rows of CDs, and video games had their own section, and you had that big ass 9x9 monitor display in the center of the store, so that whatever game that you were playing, somebody could see from anywhere in the store. They could see exactly what you were playing, and it's like, what is he playing? I want to play.
I think we've mentioned this like 9 times on the 14 episodes.
It'll never die. Never.
It really was the best, man. So I can't think of any other handhelds, personally.
Good lord. Really?
Well, I suppose we'll move on to, like, where we think they'll go, because, I mean, past the 3DS, essentially Nintendo's Switch killed off the Game Boy line.
It really did.
We're witnessing not only the birth of the Game Boy, but the death of it. Because now the Switch essentially fills the role.
It really does, especially now that they made the Switch Lite, where it's now basically it's strictly the portable version of Nintendo.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's
a tablet.
To be honest,
it's their tablet.
the entire concept of doing the Switch Lite is a mistake.
I feel it's no different than the 2DS.
It's a mistake.
If somebody never utilizes a function, I mean, Nintendo's always kind of done it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things. Yeah, it's cheaper, but it's got a downgraded battery. It's got a downgraded screen. The Joy-Con still has the same issues.
That's the sad
and it's
part.
not fucking. You can't take it off to replace it, so you have to replace the entire system. Which means when you send it, you're out of a system for so long.
Hopefully they replace it for free.
Yeah,
they have to.
Yeah, that would suck.
But I mean, especially with we're about a month out from the release of the new Pokemon Sword and Shield. We'll find a way to work Pokemon and everything.
Sir-fetched! I say it just because Paul hates
Paul, will you buy Sword or Shield?
it. No, he won't. Because he won't touch it. Because Paul is a bitch.
So okay, so here's the thing.
Here we go. Here's
the thing. Honestly, thinking about it right now,
you did not play Sun and Moon. The last one you played was X or Y, right?
I probably won't.
I knew it.
Because X and Y was the last generation of Pokemon that I played. I think I played Y.
Probably. Yveltal. He was badass.
Sure.
I like Xerneas better.
Oh my god, would you shut up?
Sorry.
So I played Y, and literally as I was playing, like, there would be stretches where I'm just like, okay, is this game over yet? It went on too long, and it's just too damn repetitive.
That's the one thing I will say that Game Freak needs to stop doing with these games is the first 45 minutes to an hour is a tutorial. At this point, who needs that? Or make it optional.
New people coming into the game.
Make it optional.
But like, it's my biggest problem is it's a lot of the whole like the Scooby-Doo element of let's go over here and check this out.
And
let's go check this out. It's like, no, we don't need that anymore. Stop it.
To be perfectly honest, X and Y is kind of where... Well, actually, Black and White is kind of where that started.
Black and White
The whole idea of it's starting to develop more of a story than just the Pokemon part. Like, you look at the original ones, Gold and Silver and all that, there was a story-ish, but really it was about catching the fucking Pokemon.
Well, and at least
And
with the original ones, like the first one is, I walk out of the grass, Oak stops me, catches the Pokemon, we go back to his lab, I pick, and you go. And that's basically your tutorial.
Yeah. This one, like, nowadays, it's a lot of... Now they're trying to incorporate a deeper storyline. Like, you look at X and Y, the whole thing was about death and rebirth.
I'm not gonna lie. That was probably the one thing that I liked the most about Y. Was almost this like really dark story about Pokemon, like the origin of Pokemon and how like literally you learn about like
the Pokemon War.
Yeah, well, it's so funny because literally that's one of those that was one of those like throwaway things that what's his fucking nuts?
Lieutenant Surge.
Lieutenant Surge talks about
part of the Pokemon War.
Yeah, his Pokemon, his Raichu protected him in the Pokemon Wars, and it's like, it's
That's
kind
the
of
game I want.
It's kind of a
I
throwaway.
want Call of Duty Pokemon Edition.
It's kind of a throwaway line, but then you're just like, wait a minute, war? Pokemon don't go to war. And then they really started
You
developing.
really want to get it dark? They eat Pokemon for food source.
Yeah, maybe.
Miltank steaks, baby.
That's right.
Eat them tits.
And they drink its milk too.
Exactly.
But
disgusting.
Y was like X and Y was the first one to really go into like how dark it was and how Pokemon literally it was just a whole Civil War type thing of like they could not get along, and so it's like it was just constant war.
Luckily, Sun and Moon kind of didn't do that as bad. There was still that stupid thing with the whole. Well, what was the bad guys in Sun and Moon? They were trying to.
They were trying to artificially make Pokemon.
Yeah, well,
because they ended up making. But he was cool. The one they made was cool, and then he eventually like removes the armor and shit, which was
weird.
Well, I liked the design for him.
Yeah, but it was. I know exactly what you were talking about. It's that stretch between like badges. God, I want to say it was maybe 3 and 4 or 4 and 5. It's literally like 2 hours before you even come up to another badge. So it was like it's extremely long stretch of just nothing.
But it just got so repetitive.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that Sun and Moon was probably the exact same way, where it was just the same. Like you literally play for 15 to 20 hours, and you'll make it through the game, but it's just so damn repetitive. And if they can tell me how Sword and Shield is going to be different, or what they're doing that's going to make it different, if they're going to be committed to trying to make it different and innovate it, then yeah, maybe I'll buy it. But if it's literally going to be nothing more than just a revamped X and Y or Sun and Moon, I've already played those kinds of games. Why would I want to go? I don't give two shits about your Sirfetch'd.
He's not a Pokemon fan.
You know, actually, you know what cracks me up?
I'm really
Paul's
not.
all like, I don't want things to be the same. What game system does he play the most? The NES.
No, I don't.
He doesn't want things to be the same, but you stay in retro gaming.
Because they're fun.
It's still fun, Paul. Beating up other Pokemon is still fun.
Sirfetch'd
is stupid.
You're stupid!
Oh my God.
Thank you, buddy. No, I can see what you're saying, but there are some, and I'll always come back to this, okay? Silent Hill 4...
That wasn't even planned either, which makes it even better.
Silent Hill 4 The Room, alright? Would you say not the strongest Silent Hill title?
Okay, so that one is a conundrum because, to be quite honest, in my opinion, it was one of the most annoying games. However, if you ask me which is one of the scariest Silent Hill games, Silent Hill 4 actually ranks up there.
Overall, it's probably got one of the better stories, like one of the good stories too, right?
It's got a decent story, but some of the scare elements in that game are very terrifying. It's the damn... computer intelligence and the artificial intelligence and having to do the escort missions that just get so annoying.
Not to mention reusing
And honestly,
exactly.
The only scary part about it was the fact you had no safe zone after a while. When you started getting attacked in your apartment.
That's huge, though.
That is huge.
That's
but
huge.
I'm just saying, that's probably one of the only reasons.
It's not. It's because there are some enemies that are genuinely terrifying, and just the whole idea that you're responsible for somebody else, too. Does actually
Who's an
play
utter
into it.
idiot.
She is.
So that's not scary so much
stupid.
as just aggravating.
No, but there were some terrifying moments of that game.
I felt 3 was scarier than 4, personally. The whole idea of her walking down the street and then all of a sudden you go into an alley and everything changes into that nightmare realm, that's fucking scary. Well, even the way you came was fucking... But they've always kind of done that.
They've always done that since the first one.
Well, I figure the first one always just feels like you're in Silent Hill permanently. Like you're never in a normal area in the first one.
No, you're in a you're in a quiet area. There's not as many enemies, and it's not like the whole steel grating and stuff like that. It's
barbed wire.
Yeah, you're in a regular kind of foggy town. 1 and 2 were like that. 3 kind of.
3, I think you see the change, and that's what scares me. Like when you turn on the tub, and the water comes out, and then it turns red, and then all of a sudden the level starts changing, and you're now in the nightmare world in one of the areas. I remember that one very distinctly.
Yeah, but there was also a room, like a different room where it's like you go into that room, you can't get out. They won't allow you to get out, and then the screen starts turning red, or the room itself starts turning into almost what looks like a heart.
Mm-hmm.
Like the veins and stuff like that are like flowing up over the floor. That your screen starts bleeding and stuff like that. And if you stand in there too long, you'll start losing life.
I remember that room.
I hated that room.
That room's dumb.
I hated that room because they wouldn't let you out.
Yeah. I forget what you had to do to get out of it.
I think
Shut off the PlayStation.
I think you literally had to wait like so long for it. So you were basically guaranteed to take some damage, but it wouldn't kill you unless you stayed in there.
See, that's scary.
That's dumb.
It's no dumber than fucking Eternal Darkness.
Yeah, but you lost sanity, not life. There's a difference.
That's true.
There was no it's not like I have to take damage in order to progress type thing. It's
I feel like that the whole idea of that Silent Hill one was to panic you, whereas Eternal Darkness is pretty much just like a whole game of gotcha,
psych.
Yeah. But I don't know. Maybe once you see Kevin and I play it or something, maybe it'll change your mind.
And that could be.
Yeah,
and that could be.
The biggest draw to me about it is the fact that
It's his Christmas present.
He's
getting it.
Pretty much, yeah. That's pretty much how it's gonna go. It's the first one that's gonna.
It's the only reason you have a Switch to begin with.
Yeah, to get Pokemon.
No, it's because I gave you a game. It's the only reason you have a Switch.
That is true.
It's the only reason you've bought like half the consoles you've bought.
That's true.
That's true,
Because he's bought you games and you're like, I don't have the system. Well, you're gonna get it now.
Dead serious. I think you bought me Silent Hill Homecoming before I had a PlayStation.
He's gonna get Pokemon, and he's also going to get Resident Evil 2 remake for the PS4.
I still have that one. He's gonna like that.
He really will, eventually, at some point in the future. But maybe it's one of those. I'm just excited to finally play one on a TV.
Yeah.
It's a console Pokemon.
That's not just a remake of fucking Yellow.
Yeah, or something.
That's a remake of Yellow.
Yeah.
Let's go Pikachu and let's go Eevee are just a remake of Yellow.
Or not an offshoot game like the XD, like Gale of Darkness and stuff, where it's not one of those. There was a correction I needed to make. When we talked about the Pokemon, when we did the Pokemon episodes, Pokemon Coliseum was the first one.
Oh, okay.
And then it went to XD Gale of Darkness.
Okay.
So yeah, you were right. I for some reason didn't have Coliseum, so I didn't really remember that. And I didn't realize that had actually a story mode to it. I thought that was just like a stadium.
No, I remember there being a side mode to it.
Yeah.
And here we are talking about Pokemon again.
Yeah, just for you, Paul.
Well, it's Handheld. And you can't talk about Handheld without talking about Pokemon, because to be honest, that's one of the only main reasons that Handheld for Game Boy has done so well.
Yeah.
Pokemon was a Game Boy, that was the reason I bought it.
It's been a system seller for
everyone. Since '98 when it came out.
I can't think of any other like Nintendo franchise that has been a definite system seller for their handhelds the way Pokemon has been.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, even Metroid was cross-platform in the fact that 1 was Nintendo, 2 was Game Boy, 3 was Super Game Boy, and then 4 was Game Boy Advance. Like, it kind of jumped back and forth.
You mean Super Nintendo, not Super Game Boy.
That's what I meant. I'm sorry. Super Nintendo. And then it went back to the Advance with Fusion. But those weren't system sellers. Like, nobody sought out an Advance to play Metroid 4.
Even as fun as, like, the Zelda games are, they're not handheld sellers.
No. Well, Breath of the Wild was for me, but that's
a system
console.
That's not a handheld
console.
seller.
Yeah, that was a console seller. That wasn't like people weren't going out to buy a Game Boy just because of Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
They were honestly, Tetris was a system seller.
Yeah.
People bought the Game Boy just solely for Tetris.
A lot of people actually don't know that Tetris originally started on the Game Boy.
It was the pack-in. Yep. Yeah. It was the pack-in with the original Game Boy, and
actually, I think it goes back before that.
Was the Tension cart that was after the Game Boy? Right?
It was after the Game Boy.
That's what I figured.
Game Boy was in 1989. Tengen Tetris was 1990, and they got the cease and desist, I believe, in the same year. It may have even been 89, but they got the cease and desist, and then Nintendo made their Tetris in 1990.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, actually, the first Tetris was back in '84.
Well, that was the actual computer game that Alexei Pajitnov had created.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So obviously the Switch right now is considered, like, for as far as Nintendo's concerned, I guess, would be the pinnacle of handheld gaming. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, and I know you and I don't feel this way, but mobile gaming on our phones is I mean, that's a market that's completely blowing up.
Actually, I think there are more people that play games on phone than there are consoles at the moment.
Do you buy that?
Well, you gotta imagine, but they include stupid stuff like Candy Crush and Angry Birds and all that in there.
I do buy that. I do.
I kind of do too, actually, because everybody has a phone. Not everybody owns a console.
Exactly.
So that makes sense to me.
And people who are not conventional gamers still play phone games and tablet games because of their simplicity.
Do you think eventually that's the way everything's gonna go? Is mobile?
No.
You don't think consoles will ever phase out?
No.
Nintendo's already done it, and with relative success, I might add.
Maybe not in our lifetime, but
yeah, with relative success. But I don't think they'll ever stray away from not being able to play your game on a TV, though.
No. I'm like, do you ever see like PlayStation
No.
putting out a console like the Switch?
Nope.
Where it can dock, but you can also take it out.
Nope, because they failed twice.
That's true, actually.
They're not going to do it again.
And Microsoft didn't even fucking try.
Microsoft knows not to even enter that
Microsoft knows their target consumer better than any of the other companies. So.
Microsoft knows not even to enter that field. So,
but I mean, you look at some of the games that come out for our phone. I mean, you play Fortnite off your fucking phone.
And it cross-plays with PC players and stuff, so...
That's weird.
I mean, you got Fortnite, there are...
And the weird part is, the people who can play on their phones stay almost as up competitively as with PC players. I mean...
It blows my mind.
You're always going to have the elitists that are going to be like, nah, keyboard mouse is better for control. But there are people that keep up and play at a competitive level.
Yeah, I don't know how.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
honestly,
crazy.
like, playing touchscreen on my phone almost annoys me. Mm-hmm. Like, the digital D-pad and stuff.
Yeah, I
need a button to press.
My biggest problem is it blocks parts of the screen when you're doing that.
Exactly.
It feels like I'm cutting my field of view down.
Mm-hmm. That's why that N-Gage was kind of a clever idea.
Well, actually, there is, I want to say it's Asus that makes it.
Isn't there a gaming phone?
Yeah, well, there's a bunch, because Razer makes one, and I think Asus Republic Gamer line has one. But Asus has this, this gaming phone that... Yeah, ROG2, I think that's the one I'm looking for. Where it's got it's like the phone itself is pretty like fancy, but then it's got this like dock thing that basically makes it the DS.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Oh, interesting.
It's interesting.
And like your phone goes to the top and is one screen. The controller piece has another screen in it, and it's got a full controller, and it's got a battery pack and all this stuff that's for it. So...
Yeah,
who knows?
Yeah.
And they also have this one that basically makes it a Switch.
Yeah, it's
oh,
really...
wow.
But like I said, the thing is, like, the Switch uses the same technology that's in high-end phones.
Which makes
But
sense.
it's specifically designed for, the stuff they're doing, so, to be honest, I don't think it'll take off to be the consumable, like, mass thing within our lifetime.
The majority market.
No, it's not.
At some point, I could see it being basically you just have a high-end, like, device that you do the peripheral to that is now your gaming, but then I get home, I drop it basically into something, and it does play on the screen, the way the Switch does. I could see that taking over at some point.
I still don't see it, because I think that people are still too, like, they'll play... their Candy Crushes, they'll play their puzzle
Wordscapes,
whatever they're playing these days. But they'll play it on their phone, just like they always have been. When they have nothing else better to do, when they're out like at the store waiting in line, obviously you can pull out your phone and play a quick game of something, and it's just kind of throwaway at that point. But I think it's here to stay, but it's never going to take over.
You don't think so?
It's never going to take over.
Because that's the thing I've noticed is, like, especially within the past, 5-6 years, major IPs are putting games on phones. Like, you have Fire Emblem put out a major game on the phone. I think Star Ocean did. You have all these different... like, when Pokemon Go came out, you know how many different like clones of Pokemon Go there actually are? And Pokemon Go wasn't even the first.
The same company makes
it was Ingress.
Some of them, yeah.
I think was one of the first ones, I guess.
There's been a bunch of augmented reality games over the years.
Yeah.
But I think Ingress was the first one to get big.
Yeah.
But then Pokemon basically took the same concept and was like, well, we added Pokemon, and it blew
brand
up.
Recognition, baby.
Yeah.
But now you got the Harry Potter one. You even
It's the
have
same company, I think.
You even have Persona. Like, there's a Persona, a Digital Devil one that they have, which is supposed to be pretty good, I guess.
But the thing about those is that you see a lot less AAA video game releases because they're so damn expensive to make and to have to do the advertising for it and the media push to try to get that brand out there so people know it's coming out and to try to create that hype when it's so easy and cheap to make a game or a version of their game on a phone or something like that, because it's no different than basically doing something online through like the PlayStation Network or Xbox Live, game. Where it's an indie game where you're not making all that much or you're not putting a lot of money into it. You have barely no overhead cost at all, except for the people who are programming it, because you have no cartridge, you have no... I mean, you could do ads and stuff like that if you want, but everything that you're saving on the disc, on the releasing of the game, the shipping of the game, all this other stuff, you can pump into advertising, or however much or little that you actually want, and then you release the game, and you're only selling what people want versus mass producing and then maybe getting half of it either not sold or getting shipped back to you because it just didn't sell. Well, so, I mean, it's...
My biggest thing with it is you see a lot of... Like, Kemco is a big RPG thing on mobile. You look up Kemco for a developer, they have at least fucking 25 to 40 fucking games. And then those are just ones that are over here. Like, I can't imagine Japan. But...
Or, like, Korea and stuff where mobile gaming is huge.
$6 is it. Whereas, like, an indie game you put out on the PlayStation Network still is probably going to be, like, anywhere from 10 to 20. So it's like... how much can you possibly make on it? You know what I mean? Like, maybe it's just me personally. I've played a lot of RPGs on my phone. I can't get into them. There's something like Xenonia, I know, is a big one that they've pumped out like 8 of those cocksuckers. And it's so cumbersome to play on a phone to begin with, but I know they blow up. People love those dungeon crawlers on there, but I feel like there's no substance to these games. Or a lot of them are, like we were talking about, they're pay to win. Or you can only do so much, and then you have to wait 24 hours before you can do more, and it's... Like, I feel like that's why mobile gaming hasn't quite taken off yet.
Well, and what it's going to take, to be honest, for, like, mobile gaming to take off in that direction is for a company like Nintendo or Rockstar to be like, my next AAA game is purely a mobile game, and this is what we're doing.
Well, that's kind of like what they're doing with Apple Arcade.
So
Square Enix is making exclusively a game for Apple Arcade.
Yeah, but I see... like,
and Square Enix is a AAA developer.
Are they now?
Well,
are they?
When's Final Fantasy 16 coming out? But they're not. They're busy working on the remake of 7.
If that even comes out, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. That comes out in January, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Or is it February?
January. But it's going to take one of, like, the big companies to just be like, this is what we're going to do, this is what's going to... But then the other thing is, too, is...
I don't think the hardware's there.
Right now, mobile specs range too much. So you've got the low-end, like, cheap, okay, this is like a $70 phone, up to this phone costs $3,000.
Yeah, let's say my iPhone was $1,000.
So mine was $1,200.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's insane. It's insane how much phones are.
Yeah, but you also, at the time, if you look at what they do compared to the amount of stuff that's in them, it makes
it's
sense.
a laptop.
Yeah.
I essentially bought a laptop for my pocket.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're sharing a battery, which that's the biggest issue.
That'll be
battery
the big
life
thing,
is
but
not a thing.
I think when mobile gaming takes off to, like, at any point where it will actually threaten console and PC will be when that streaming is more of a thing, so you save battery power. You can save... So it's basically, like, your game doesn't run on this, It's running on a server, and you just play on this.
So your phone becomes a controller.
Yeah. That's when mobile gaming will take off to the point where... But that's, like I said before, like, and when we talked about the tech stuff for digital... It's not going to go that way until everything hits a certain benchmark.
Right. Everybody needs a certain connection. Everybody needs access. Like the iPhone 10 needs to be a low-end phone, which is still a pretty good fucking phone. But then, like,
everyone has to have bandwidth of a certain speed. Like, battery power on phones has to hit a certain mark. Like I said, I doubt it'll be within our lifetime, but
you never know.
It will happen at some point.
I think, honestly, we might see it in our lifetime, especially if technology grows exponentially.
So I was looking...
I mean, it's crazy.
I was also looking up stats. So the projected stats for 2020 and 2021, $165.9 billion industry is what gaming is.
Yes.
57% of that is mobile.
Is from just your phone. So, okay.
21% is PC and 23% is all consoles combined.
Wow.
By 2021, it'll be $180.1 billion industry, with 59% being mobile,
so it's
19% being PC, and 22% being console.
Oh, so it's not really changing that much.
PC's taking a dip.
It's going... No, even consoles took 1% hit.
Yeah,
because phones will be better.
Yeah, phones...
So it's going...
Phones went up 2 or 3%.
So from 2016 to 2019... Mobile gaming went from 40% to over 50%.
You got to remember too, phones also jumped in technology.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes, they did.
I mean, so that increase was just based on the hardware alone.
Look at techno. Like 2012, 45% of it was console, only 18% was mobile. So within that, the technology gap. So all you need is that one jump in technology, and console gaming and PC gaming will drop dramatically.
Yeah, but all you need, though, is for companies to then stop focusing on mobile and go back to console or PC, whatever it ends up being, and that'll shift those numbers as well, too. So, I mean, it's just so damn convenient to make games.
It's always going to keep skewing towards mobile, unfortunately, I think.
Well, it's because it's so damn cheap.
Part of me thinks that mobile really couldn't happen anyway, because look at the size of some of these games.
Well, that's why I said
how much was
50, 60,
what was the one you just came?
50 or 60 gigs.
Red Dead 2?
Well, Ghost Recon Wildlands was bigger. I'm at 112 gig.
My phone...
But that's why I said it won't be... Your phone will be the controller. It'll be on a server somewhere, and you play with your phone.
Because my phone's a 256 gig phone. That's half of my fucking memory.
That's why, like I said, it won't be until streaming becomes the absolute 100% norm.
So, essentially, we won't own our games anymore.
So that's why I said it won't be within our lifetime. It probably won't be until after.
Yeah, I suppose. But I don't even know if I would consider that mobile gaming anymore. Because...
Why?
It's console gaming on a phone,
It's basically. Console gaming on a phone, but you still have
about.
to... It's essentially just a streaming console. But
it's on the go, it's handheld, that's what makes it mobile.
But you're saying if it's streaming, just the phone becomes the controller, right?
Yeah.
So what's the rest of where's the game going to be? If your phone's controller, where's the game? On the television. It's a console now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, because not everything's coming through your phone. I know what I'm thinking, and I don't know how to describe it.
But that's the whole thing, is like cloud processing. The way it works is, it takes the load off of your phone. It'll be something else will be processing it, but your phone will be the receiver. And
yeah, but I don't know if I'd really even call that. That might be a whole new thing of gaming. I don't know if I'd consider that mobile gaming anymore.
Well, that's part of the mobile industry, though.
So mobile industry is like, okay, so I'm on the Google Play Store, and you've got games like Mario Kart Tour, which is not the norm to have such a well-known IP as a
right.
Phone.
That actually came out not that long ago.
Yeah, Dragon City, Candy Crush Friends Saga, Galaxy Invaders, Alien Shooter, Sweet Fruit Pop Match 3 Puzzle.
Well,
game.
and that's where
those are what they're talking about by mobile games. These are these not AAA developed licensed games from like Kemco or Ubisoft. It's literally
cash grab kind of point grab.
Yes, it's freemium games,
boredom games,
free to play, and money to get farther in, basically.
Well, then
Like-
there's an entire MMO industry that disagrees with you.
There's a lot of MMOs.
The vast majority of MMOs are free to play, but you
Yeah,
pay
because you
for...
got like Clash of Clans and Clash of Kings and
Like, look at Star Wars The Old Republic. It's a free-to-play MMO, but you can buy cosmetic shit for real money.
Wasn't that PC?
Yeah, it was also... It was going to
Can you
go...
play that on your phone as well?
It was going to go to PS4 and stuff at one point, but I think it got scrapped.
Yeah. But I know where Paul's getting at. Yeah, it's like, I feel like if I don't know. I don't know. That might be a whole new genre of
But see, that's the whole thing, is you're trying to basically just limit and say, well, this only narrow margin is what makes mobile gaming. That's like RPG. It is the most generic term
for anything.
In anything. It just means I'm playing a particular character.
Yeah.
The original Mario is an RPG by definition. You are playing the role of Mario trying to save the princess. It is an RPG by definition.
But you don't level up, though.
Doesn't matter. That's not an aspect of what makes an RPG.
No, it's weird because the lines are starting to get blurred.
They are, because then any game that has a narrative story becomes an RPG at that point.
Not necessarily. Narrative story it's only an RPG if you are the one making decisions. You are role playing. And that's why like the terms we put onto the different genres of gaming are basically useless.
Yeah.
That's why there's the distinction between Western RPGs and JRPGs.
There's one of those generally accepted terms, like, it's like, what did that guy say about porn? I couldn't describe it, but I know it when I see it.
That's child porn, yeah.
But that
was the law.
I thought that was Larry Flint.
It was actually, I think it was either a judge or a senator or something.
It was a judge.
I don't know. Yeah. I can't define you what child like it is, but yeah, I can tell you it when I see it.
Yeah, and I feel
it's about obscenity laws and stuff like that.
Like RPGs are kind of the same thing. It's like there's a general consensus on what it is because I know it when I see it, but I can't define it. And I kind of feel like that's how the genres of gaming are starting to be, because look at the Switch. Is it a console? Is it a handheld? Is it just a handheld that hooks up to your television? Or is it a console that I can take on the go?
See, me, it's the second one.
And that's kind of how I feel like your idea of the mobile gaming is going to go. It's going to be another one of those enigmas where it's like, well, now we're kind of blurring the line between certain things. And I can see that.
As eventually, technology is going to get to the point anyways where you don't know the difference.
That's true. Like, console used to be just dedicated, this is a Genesis, this is a Super Nintendo, console.
You want a great example of it? At the time it released, Toy Story was the pinnacle of, like, CG technology.
Oh, yeah.
Look at CG technology now. They can make... Have you ever seen deepfakes? Mm-hmm. You know what deepfake is? Mm-mm. So there's a program where I can basically take any video footage I want. Say I have, like, footage of you doing something. Well, I can now use this program to rip your face off and put it into another video, and you can't tell the difference on the high-end stuff. For all intents and purposes, it was you that did this. And there is no way to say otherwise.
Oh, okay.
It's a scary world we live in.
Why would you do that?
Because that's the way technology is going. It's already been used to go against certain political candidates.
Oh.
Cool.
So it's going to get to the point where...
The world's not a scarier place, safer, huh?
And now...
Well, safer and scary are two different things.
And now you wonder why I tend to stick with my retro games.
But, like, technology's going to get to the point where reality and technology, or reality and fantasy, can become completely indistinguishable.
Yeah. That's why, like, games like the Dot Hack, the whole virtual reality and shit, like, I feel like we might see that kind of stuff in our lifetime. Where essentially your consciousness transfers to the thing and you're there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The Dot Hack stuff is a little weird because it literally...
Sword Art Online, it gets a little goofy, but...
Well, hey, I like Sword Art, fuck you.
I like them both, to be honest. But it's one of those things where...
It's going to become a second... I mean, look at Ready Player One. It's going to become that sort of thing at some point. Where people ignore reality for the fantasy.
I mean, we don't do that already.
No,
I do.
Actually, The Matrix did that before Ready Player One.
No, wasn't the novel out before?
Of what?
For Ready Player One?
No.
I would have thought Tron, personally.
For the novel?
Yeah, for the novel, 2012, man.
I would have thought Tron would have been before them, but whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Tron was even before that, too.
Damn, look who doesn't watch movies but still knows how to beat you sons of bitches.
Oh, shut up.
Woo!
Shut up.
Andy coming through with the pop cult reference.
Yeah.
Even the Lawnmower Man came before Matrix, okay?
Lawnmower Man.
Do you remember that? That was virtual reality.
He knows the name, but he doesn't know what the movie's about.
Oh, I do know what the movie's about.
Jacob's Ladder too.
Yeah.
Jacob's Ladder was not virtual reality.
But it was about going and
it was about
adjusting.
dying.
But it was
adjusting to death, basically.
But that's how can you tell the difference between that and the fantasy though?
Well, I mean, you
can't.
And for your edification, I do know the Lawnmower Man.
Bullshit.
Thank you very much.
Bullshit.
I know it. Isn't it? It's about like a fucking a
lawnmower man.
It's about a lawnmower man that gets taken for like an experiment or something. And he becomes like super smart and creates like a whole world. And they send like these 2 people in to go and fucking kick his ass. Which it's Terminator.
That's definitely not the Lawnmower Man.
I don't know what movie he's talking about.
Yeah,
I thought that was Tron too.
No.
I don't fucking know. It's all Tron-minator.
Or a good one is Existence.
Cell.
I don't know if you've seen that.
So no, I haven't. So Lawnmower Man is literally they are testing a new technology of like basically making somebody smarter using virtual reality. And
isn't that what I fucking said?
But they don't.
Lawnmower Man goes in there. They make him super smart. And he makes a world. Fucking.
He doesn't make a world.
He becomes a tyrant.
He goes from being. Isn't he mentally handicapped?
He is. He's mentally challenged at the beginning, and then he becomes super smart. He even has like telekinetic power, and then he literally ends up dying because then he goes into the virtual reality. And then tries to get into our reality through the phone lines and stuff like that at the very end.
I'll be honest. You know the only reason I know half of the plot is because I played the game. Played Lawnmower Man.
Oh yeah, Super Nintendo. That game is hard as hell though.
Yeah, Shadowrun was kind of like that too, wasn't it? In that kind of virtual reality sort of. Don't they go into like some goofy Matrix computer thing and kick shit in Shadowrun? Maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of Shadowrun for the Genesis. I remember going into a computer and fighting things virtually.
I don't remember.
I don't know. This got off the rails kind of quick.
I don't remember. Because I know there was hacking and stuff, but I
don't remember.
I don't remember too much of that one.
I don't know, guys. I don't know where gaming's going, but I know where it came from. I know I love it, and I think we'll see some great things with it.
We still will.
Oh, absolutely.
As the technology goes up, it'll be
physical and console gaming is still going to be around for a long time.
I think so too.
And
that's why I said I don't think, like I said, our lifetime it's not going to happen.
And honestly, the best is yet to come.
Maybe. We lived the best.
We really did.
80s and 90s, baby.
When it gets quite to the sword art and I can just go online and be an RPG character, that'll be the best.
Yeah, right.
Fuck yeah.
But anyway, what are your guys' experience with mobile gaming? Did you have the Tiger Electronics Batman or Castlevania? I almost said Spooderman. Spooderman.
Were you the really old kind that had the water with the little rings that you push the buttons for?
Or as he's known in Japan, Supaidaman. Supaidaman.
Vanderhoff, did you have a Game & Watches, you old fuck?
So, but yeah, what were the Tiger Electronics games? Because everybody owned at least one of them.
Oh,
if you grew up in the 80s or the 90s, you owned at least one of them. At least. So what was the one you owned, or what was your favorite one that just really sticks out in your mind?
Well, there was a Lion King one, too, I think.
Of course there was.
Yeah,
there was Jurassic Park.
We don't talk about Lion King and video games.
Ain't that the truth?
What is that?
Have you played the Super Nintendo one?
Or the Genesis one?
Have you gotten past the whole Savannah part?
No.
I didn't think so. Fuck you.
Impossible.
Oh, that's why.
It's pretty bad.
That's why.
It's like escaping the Cave of Wonder on the Genesis version.
We don't talk.
Like an almost damn near impossible.
that one's
you
not
beat
that
it when you hit at that level, and it's only level 2.
Yeah, it's just level 2.
It's insane. But anyway, yes. Where do you think the market's going? Do you play mobile games on your phone? Which, honestly, who doesn't? It's really a thing. Like, yes, you do, you cocksucker.
Where's that Marvel game you were playing before?
It's not on my phone anymore.
See, but you did at one point.
I did.
You used to play it religiously when you probably shouldn't have been.
Just like where there was that quiz game you played all the time, too.
Oh God, that
Words with Friends, you piece of shit.
So yeah, those count as mobile gaming.
It's mobile game.
I don't have a single game on my phone anymore.
But
you want to know why?
Because your phone's dying and
because my phone only has enough storage for 16 gigs, and I currently only have 4 gigs available on here, and so I cannot put any games.
It's all the porn he puts on there.
Just about to say,
It has absolutely nothing to do with it.
pics of me and porn, which are both.
All the photoshopped ones you send him. Soon that's what's gonna happen is I'm gonna get him invested in deepfakes. He's gonna make a deepfake of the two of you.
Deep fakes, baby. What do you know about that shit?
I honestly don't know anything about it.
And it's probably for the best.
Probably.
But anyway, go to powertripgaming.tv on YouTube. Well, actually, in any browser. It'll take you straight to the YouTube channel where you can watch us tackle the NES collection. 678 games. God damn.
Yeah, and you can watch any of our other video game playthroughs that aren't Nintendo on our side quest videos as well, too.
That's right. If you're listening to this on YouTube, you can go to iTunes or Stitcher. The Power Trip Gaming Powercast is also there.
Yes,
and it's also on YouTube.
You can listen to all of our other episodes that we've had. If you have any questions or comments or anything that you suggest or want us to talk about, let us know.
Absolutely.
The more feedback, the better. Doesn't matter what platform.
The more feedback, the better, because then we'll actually have something to talk about.
And we won't talk about Surf Etched and annoy Paul.
Goddamn Pokemon.
I like that.
Stupidest idea for a Pokemon ever!
And a keyring isn't?
It's stupid!
What about 3 Pokemon that join together to become a new Pokemon?
Don't talk about Dugtrio that way!
Excuse me, lamest Pokemon idea ever was Voltorb and Electrode. Thank you very much.
He just rolled over.
They literally just took a ball and rolled it over.
That was, yeah.
Perfect.
And then they made it bigger.
Bigger. Yeah, they did.
They really did.
Anyway, this was the Power Trip Gaming Powercast!
Thanks for listening with Power!
Power! Oh, yeah. Oh, now you're listening with Power.
Can we go one episode without you?
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah!
Or just saying like, now you're listening with Power.
Because that's the phrase!
Oh, yeah, with Power.
It's only the phrase for it.
The phrase is now you're listening with Power, not you, whatever the fuck garbage you said.
You just said it. Not
because that's the phrase! That's like if we didn't say next time on Power Trip we'll play something better.
It's the way you say it. Don't do the Macho Man. One episode.
Now you're listening with Power!
Now you got the jazz hands going.
And honestly, that's better.
That's what we're going to do. The next episode we record, he's not allowed to do a single voice.
Now you're listening with Power.
He's going to die. It's going to be awesome.
Now you're listening with Power!
I sound like a gremlin.